to build a website.
Oh, finally, I've been waiting my whole life.
And now you can do it easily. You waited until just the right moment because Squarespace is here for you.
I've been biding my time, and the time is now.
Perfect.
Booyah.
Beautiful website, blog, online store for you and your ideas. There's an elegant interface, beautiful templates, incredible 24/7 customer support, and you can try Squarespace at squarespace.com and enter code GIANTBOMB at checkout to get 10% off.
All right.
Do just that. My time is now.
Squarespace, build it beautiful. Wait, there's no comma there. Build it beautiful.
Oh, wait. Close that. Submit. Let us get ready to rumble. Labyrinth and Circus.
Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2015. Game Developers Conference is happening. Penny Arcade Expo is happening. And the Giant Bombcast is happening. I'm your host, Brad Shoemaker. What up, Jeff Gershon?
That's a lot of happenings.
It's a lot of happenings.
Yeah.
Everything's happening this
We're just
week.
going to have to not go to one of those.
Yeah.
Cut out one of those happenings.
Well, we're already
I
in
vote the podcast.
Well, that's a good point.
Too late. Too late.
Well, I don't think it's ever too
Okay,
late.
thing.
I'm gonna hit the stop button right now. Let's go. Time to drink.
We don't need to stop the podcast to drink. But we should look into that sometime. All right, let's just cut GDC.
All right, fine. We have to choose.
I would say you're happening.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think so? I hope so. Well, I think this podcast is happening because we have a special guest today. Oh? Yeah, it's Tim Allen.
Shit.
And Wilson.
Another guy lied to.
But fuck that. Our guests are way better. It's Mark McDonald and John Riccardi, straight from Japan.
Hi. Hello.
Of 8-4...
Play.
Well, 8-4 Play, yes. But your company, yeah, is it 8-4 Limited? Is it
Technically,
8-4
yes.
LLC? 8-4
No,
Production?
limited.
8-4, okay. It's not just 8-4. It's not like...
And Co.
Okay,
How'd you know y'all as they say?
gotcha.
Right.
I was hoping you were like, it's like the share of companies. It's just 8-4.
There is a deodorant in Japan that is 8-4, and yeah, they probably have that designation.
Oh, yeah?
They're really
You guys
It's
ever...
actually pronounced 8-4 in Japanese.
Yeah?
yeah. So that's actually 8. And
Okay, I'm looking for
Okay.
4, so
Cross,
yeah.
as they say.
Kieran Roadrunner or something like that.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I think we're under the radar.
Okay.
We try to stay. Yeah, we try to keep there so we don't catch their ire.
There's a restaurant now, too, right?
Yes, there is. Yeah, you heard about that. Okay, you've been listening to the podcast.
have.
Oh, okay.
Now, how many of those other two things are Mario references? I imagine with the cross, the deodorant's probably not.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell that comes from because there's no Japanese reading of the numbers that.
Yeah, we should dig that out someday. I have no idea.
Wait, the restaurant is kind of.
The restaurant is not a Mario reference either. It's a really complicated reference to explain.
Yeah.
The guy who runs it did run Mario a couple of years ago, so there's that.
Yeah.
But
Which I don't think is like a total coincidence.
But it's pronounced Hashi, which is how you say chopsticks in Japanese.
Okay.
It's related to his last name. But it's not.
So
your 8-4 is from Mario?
yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
So that's our first thing when we give people our business cards because business card small talk is like a big thing in Japan because people still use business cards. You got the 2 hands. Yep. 2 hands is very important.
Kind of slight bow as you hand the card.
A little bit, yeah. You basically are constantly like doing little bows to people whenever you're meeting them in Japan. But as business card small talk, it's basically like, so yeah, can you guess where the 8-4 is from? And it's kind of like our little quiz to see,
And if they get it wrong, you charge them double.
yeah, slap them in the face.
Do not do business with them.
Right, exactly. But yeah, actually, I'd say about half the people get it, and half of them just have absolutely no idea.
What's the most surprising person? Let's out him right here, right now. Throw him under the bus. The most surprising person that
Didn't
didn't
get it?
get it.
There have definitely been some prominent game industry people who didn't get it. Even other people who we thought would never get it who got it immediately.
Well, the big clue is when you see it too on the business card, it kind of uses the font and everything. That actually really
retro.
helps seeing it in the actual.
Miyamoto got it right away. We had a chance to meet Miyamoto.
God, I should hope so.
A lot of years ago, and actually actually the guy who runs that restaurant. Actually, he's the guy who introduced us, and he did get it. And that was
Okay.
that would have been.
And then he motioned over
actually
to
asked
the
him,
legal
like-
team and said, "Shut
That's
the
right.
fuck
That's
up."
right. Destroyed it. It was kind of like, are you
Yeah.
okay with this? And they were like, no, that's cool.
Send these assholes back to America. You guys have a business relationship with Nintendo, right? It's all good.
We have done some stuff with them from time to time.
If they were gonna drop the legal hammer, it
That's true.
probably would have gotten dropped by now.
That's true. That's what we tell ourselves.
So Mark, fresh, and I mean fresh, off of an airplane.
I am, although it's from Seattle. I got
Oh.
yeah. So I went through Seattle because of.
Oh wait, this will put me at
travel.
level 30.
Okay.
Oh shit!
But this
White
is,
mage
this is,
hype?
Like straight from Japan to here, though, right?
Is,
You didn't take a night in Seattle to recharge.
Oh no, I did.
Oh, you did?
I
Okay,
spent the
okay,
night
I'm
in
sorry.
Seattle, and then
I
but
got it.
I did come here straight from the
Oh, I'm
airport.
way less impressed now.
Let's start that over. Can we re-record that part?
You are the ballsiest world traveler
I
I've
am
ever known.
right off the plane from Japan, and yeah, it was a crazy flight, but I'm here now. I serve at the pleasure of the bomb test.
Yeah.
11 hours ago, you were chain smoking, playing Virtua Fighter somewhere, and
That's
now
right.
here you are.
Drink Pocari Sweat
Still smell it.
or CC Lemon.
Oh, speaking of which, we
Yeah.
brought a little gift.
We
For
have,
you guys.
Some exotic drinks.
That's right.
Some,
From
hope
the
you guys
Far
are coffee
East.
drinkers. Not.
Wow.
You were some coffee drinkers for a little
You guys are
while.
into weird kind of drinks.
Yeah, I think this podcast literally got its start.
The drink part of it's not so weird, but it comes with a little surprise on the top,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
which you can check that out.
So is it demi-tasse? Demi-tasse?
That's a good question. I have,
Probably Demitasse.
Safe to open in
So
here.
these are.
yeah, you can open it up. That actually doesn't open it if you take that green thing off.
Aha.
That
That's
just
still
reveals
safe.
the
That's
Reveals
yes.
the cookie
secret.
center.
So this is a limited edition.
Oh, what the fuck?
Little Mario toy, Super Mario
Oh,
toy
this is
that
awesome.
just came out maybe a week or two
Nice.
before we left.
Oh, Bowser here.
And they do these little.
Oh no, I'm so close.
Tops of. Well, there's the famous old Pepsi bottle cap
Yeah,
top.
bottle caps and.
I have some Pepsi
You
Man
have some of
in the
those.
movies, like Pepsi Man Jaws.
Oh god damn it.
Bottle toppers.
All Pepsi Man. I love that game.
So are these randomized? What'd you
So
get?
how? Yeah, there's eight.
got Bowser?
total.
I got Bowser. What'd you get, Drew?
I got Luigi.
I got a mushroom retainer.
So and
I'm
that
using,
little,
I'm using the formal title.
that little green thing is not only
South
a container,
Fan
it's actually
Lab.
like the showpiece stand.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
you
sure.
flip it over and it.
You
Yeah.
use this thing here.
Oh,
and
oh,
it's got a stand.
bumping the mic.
There's like a little black plate that you place on the pipe, top of the pipe, put the character on it, and then it's like you're coming.
That goes in your display case
Alright.
along with all your vinyl figures and garage kits. You know, your
Of course.
your what's nots.
Yes.
Yeah.
All my Macross stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. Thank you. This is awesome.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, you have to let us know how that coffee is too, because we have like 60 cans of it now.
To get the complete set. And
Yeah.
then some.
Dido blend.
Oh god damn it. Broken water's all the way up here.
Well, I'm just gonna crack it open.
All right.
Find out. I don't know if I should have shaken that or.
That probably wouldn't.
It just came from Japan.
Drink tests. Make a return to the bombcast.
It has a coffee-like flavor with a bit of maybe a cream.
Might be some nicotine in there too. They like to
Ooh.
sneak that in.
Oh,
for
sure,
the,
why
for the
not?
Salary,
Yeah.
you know. So you can get everything in one gulp. You know.
That's sandy section.
Great. I'm just gonna start smoking it.
John, I know you got here a day or two ago. Is that right?
I
Or
got
not?
here yesterday
Okay.
also, but I got
Okay.
right here.
You got it. So you guys have had a little bit of time to act
A little bit, yeah.
before the festivities begin this week.
Oh yes, VR Fest '86.
Yep. So Game Developers Conference. You guys are here for it.
Yep.
We are going to observe it from afar.
Yeah, it's just the timing, the way everything worked out with PAX and everything. We had to kind of throw our lot in with PAX.
It's got to pick one or the other,
It
right?
sucks so bad. I mean, there's a bunch of people that we know on the even on the business side of things too, not on the press, but that also have to leave. You know, Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Like
people
anyone
on
with a
Wednesday.
booth, yeah, they have to,
Yeah.
you know, either they kind of have to be there on Thursday or have other people in town on Thursday
Right.
building booths and doing all that stuff. Like it just sounds like a real grind.
Yeah, we
for
had
a lot of those people.
we had Samantha Coleman in on Friday who makes Centrist. She's a company of one,
Yeah.
so she's like here doing GDC stuff, and then has to like jet early to go set up a
Oh.
display.
think the
Because who else
people
would do
who make GDC and the people who make PAX would get together and just have a chat?
It would be nice. I mean, I'm sure they're subject to, just venue availability and...
Yeah, I think that's probably was the case.
And I bet that like the company that puts on PAX probably looks at it and goes like, well,
it's a different thing.
crowd.
Yeah.
Like we're appealing to consumers.
Yeah,
They want industry people to show up and show their wares and stuff.
Right.
Oh, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
GDC's had their all booked probably for the last 10 years. So yeah, I guess it's probably more on PAX to pick a date that doesn't get in the way. But
In the press too. I mean, like by the end of a GDC or a PAX, either or, I mean, anybody involved in it, it's just completely white,
Yep.
like dead to the world. And so to think about doing that and then going from one to the other
Yep.
does not sound like a great thing. But yeah, you guys got your coffee now,
Yeah.
and
Not
it's
anymore.
gonna be fine.
It's inside me. That's all gone.
now you'll have it forever.
That's right.
Yeah, it'd be part of you now.
Oh no.
So you guys leave on when?
Circus.
Yeah, I'm heading
All
out
right.
a bit early.
Yep.
Alex are getting in town on Wednesday, so we're gonna get together then, figure some stuff out, and then everybody else gets in Thursday.
Yeah, what do you guys? When is your panel?
It's Friday night. Is our panel out there, and then
Awesome.
I'm on another panel about game reviews because it's about time someone spent some time talking about
Finally, the true one.
what's the story with these game reviews.
Right.
Should they have scores? I don't know. Let's talk it out.
Oh, God damn it.
And then there's wrestling madness on Sunday that
Right,
just,
right.
like PAX has just gotten weird.
Yeah, and Giant Bomb producers and GameSpot producers are doing a cross-pollination panel about video production on Saturday.
How the sausage gets made.
Yeah, it's called Making Video Sausage.
Oh, nice.
Is it actually?
It is.
All right. Yeah. Some good synergy right there.
Saturday,
guys-
Bobcat
so-
Theater at 4 p.m.
Did you guys? Did you guys film something during PAX? Like last time, like a top 10 list or something, and then edit it during?
GameSpot did that.
Okay.
They ended up not finishing it.
Right.
I think the original
got top
plan
three.
was they were going to try to do the whole thing top to bottom, of course, the panel.
Right.
But those slap guys.
What? They didn't get 50 minutes, and
I know,
you can't get a segment done and edited. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell? But I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah. So So we're kind of focused on that stuff, which is weird. I don't know. Like GDC ends up being really weird overall for us because it's great having all these people in town. You can kind of get access to people, and like last year we did our live shows and stuff, and that's always really fun to do.
Yeah.
But in terms of just going and sitting in panels and do that sort of stuff, that's not our news. We don't have a news grind like that.
Right,
So
right.
live blogging panels is not really our thing. So there's just huge swaths of GDC that it's not really our scene.
What's your? Yeah. I was curious, like your guys' take on GDC this year. Like I was joking about the VR thing, but I'm also kind of not joking.
Oh, it's happening.
It just seems like that is going to be the show.
Whether
the whole show is
whether
going
we
to
like
be
it or not, yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Well, it's like Valve they're showing their stuff to developers this week, I guess, but I don't think that they're out there publicly going hey, put this thing on,
right.
or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know.
Just seems on the business side, and Sony last year
Right.
made their announcement, and it just seems like that kind of stuff has been ramping up. But in GDC's conversation is always a little bit different than what's going on in the game industry in general. I mean, understandably is a little bit ahead of what's going on, but I don't know, the whole VR thing, what's your what's your guys' take on it?
I've been really impressed every time I put on a headset and go oh, this stuff actually works now. It's not Dactyl Nightmare, all the virtuality crap from the 90s, but at the same time, it's all chicken and no egg. There's no fucking software, which obviously there wouldn't be because they're still out there courting developers. But I feel like there hasn't been any one thing that you look at and go oh, this is why I want one of these things. It's like those Morpheus demos last year. You're like, that shark looks cool, and I can look at it, or I can not look at it. That's awesome.
I mean, to be fair, there really is no consumer product yet.
Totally.
Yes, you can buy.
It's
you can buy a Rift, but it's a developer kit.
Yeah, I'm not sliding it and saying, oh, VR's doomed because there's no games, but it's they've been talking about it for so long now that they have to we need to get to a point where there's a handful of things you go oh, this is something that you couldn't do any other way. It makes the whole thing make sense. Basically, it needs its Wii Sports or something like that.
Right. quote unquote killer app.
Sure.
It strikes me as inevitable that sooner or later it's going to take over. I mean, maybe it's because I read that Ready Player One a couple years ago, and I was like really into it. But like, I could see, you know, not just games, but like just social networking. Like, I could see the future of Facebook just being like a big VR social network.
Well, that's what they, I guess, see
Probably,
as well, why
yeah.
they bought it.
But yeah, like with the Valve announcement, they're making deals with like HBO and Lionsgate and stuff to get
Right.
like movies in there.
But then it's like you can imagine a future where it just looks like regular glasses or whatever. But what I'm talking about is like in the next couple years, are people going to be wearing? I mean, it might look a little different than what it looks like now, but are people going to be wearing the big, ViewMaster thing in their homes? At least, gamers, or what section of the audience is going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years? Like way down the line, 10, whatever, 15 years. Like, of course, to some extent, that's going to happen. But what I'm kind of curious about is like, what do people think the adoption is going to be like? I mean, is it going to be like a Kinect-like thing that it takes off?
Yeah, like
fast,
we've thought about that before. I mean, like the early adopters have to be people who can get away with like basically sitting in a sensory deprivation chamber for 2 or 3 hours, right? You can't use one of these things to have kids, right?
Right. Well,
Like you need to be able to see what your kids are
It's
doing.
one of the things that they were talking about with the HTC
That's where you
unit
put your
was like, yeah, exactly. That like it'll get notifications from your phone, so people could send you text messages and it'll pop up and go like, hey,
wow.
take that fucking thing off.
we live in the future.
Yeah.
We live in the future.
So that's probably a decent idea from someone who probably started to think about that problem, I guess. But yeah, I think the initial the initial adopters are going to be people that can disappear for long periods of time.
What's going to be, like you said, to the games, right? Someone's going to, I mean, if Sony is smart, they're going to have some amazing game that's going to make you want to
Private
get
lesson.
Morpheus.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Private lesson. There's your killer app.
Is that the one with the
Schoolgirl?
girl skirts? Yeah.
I was about to have a lesson for what?
The one that disappeared mysteriously from
Yeah.
and then suddenly reappeared.
That'll be Japan's big.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Are
Been in
there
Japan too long.
are developers in Japan talking about this stuff at all, or is it just still like
Ah,
a PC
ah.
mindset?
They're starting to. Actually, Oculus came out and was showing a bunch of Japanese devs the technology, and we set up a few appointments with them, and we were there for some of the developers, and they were actually like really excited about it. Like I was joking about Summer Lesson, but that's the
Don't we? Oh no, Ancient Flare. I think we just eat it.
his game. And he's actually like just really excited.
Oh, no,
about
we were supposed to stand on the thing.
technology and stuff like that. I think they're just more interested in futzing around with it more than like, oh, I'm going to sell 1 million copies
Right.
of this game. It's
Yeah.
more like, oh, this would be crazy. I wonder what this would be.
It at least seems like the sort of thing that could be more viable in Japan than like the Kinect or something that's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
like, hey, you need
Oh,
a ton of
yeah.
floor space or something
Right,
like that.
exactly,
Like,
exactly. They actually, was it the Kinect, was it the Xbox One Kinect or the other where at the convenience store, anywhere, Big Camera, any like the Japanese Best Buy, or anywhere where you might buy the Xbox One, they actually had like a measuring tape, like one of those things from IKEA where you would get, and it's like, hey, take this home and see if you're going to actually have the amount of space to fit it in.
Yeah.
And I think their point was supposed to be, it's less space than you think, but actually anyone who sees like, what the hell, I need to measure my living room to figure out if this thing works or not.
The Xbox One Kinect is like significantly better than the old one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of just like spacing and stuff like that. Like I can play in much tighter areas. Just like I just like want.
Yeah. Nope.
Wow, we took her out before
What does GDC look
daybreak.
like for you guys? I mean,
That's absurd.
Yes, here until Friday. A lot of just meeting with friends but some clients and stuff. We do like a lot of localization work, but we also do some. Recently, I've done some more publishing actually in Japan of indie games. Rogue Legacy, we're actually working on right now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the Japanese version of that. We went and showed that to the press in Japan recently, which was also a very interesting experience.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
As long as I've lived there, well, I won't name where it was, but the first meeting that we went to, there was 2 guys at the meeting. One was the editorial guy, and one was the sales guy.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, are you just here because you're
So
a
it's
fan of the
still
game?
like that
or-
then, huh?
Yeah, so yeah, it's a little. It's like that. It's like some places and some places more than others, but it's still very much like that there. But luckily, at least they've started coming around to this idea that there are all these like great Western indie games
Yeah.
Sakurai actually had a column in Famitsu on the big Japanese gaming mag last week about like that Steam's the best e-shop platform out there. Basically, the
Sakurai,
best.
the creator of Smash Brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's also sick of making Smash Brothers. So.
Right.
Oh, did he say?
Yeah, he
something
came
recently?
out saying like this last one had taken such a toll on him, he wasn't sure if he wanted to keep going.
I mean, he's got to be right. I mean, how many of those has he
It's like,
made
what,
in the last
four in the last 10,
10
12 years?
I mean,
And it's like the fans of that series want something so specific that is, you know, it's like he's not a short order cook.
Right.
At some point, you know, he wants to try to make something.
No, get Dog from Duck Hunt in there.
Right.
and he's also
Chopped and screwed.
Take the fucking dripping out, asshole. Yeah.
he's also a guy with like a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
That too.
Right, exactly,
Doesn't
like-
wanna get.
Yeah, I would love to see him. He's like Kojima for me. Like these two guys who like keep making the same thing, but I'd really rather they keep trying new things.
Yeah, he might be
Yeah.
he might be sitting there looking at Steam like having all kinds of ideas about what he
Yeah.
could do with it.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting that he chose that. He does a column every week, but you know he is a Nintendo guy, so it was interesting that he basically like called that out last week.
Well, not to sit here and just pick your brains about stuff in Japan, but
Please do.
I was curious, like since you mentioned the Japanese press, like what the state of games coverage is like over there. Like, have YouTube and Twitch had any effect on that stuff at all, or is it just
Nico or whatever.
is Famitsu still kind of the institution it used to be? Like, is that stuff changing?
Famitsu is still the king, so Famitsu is a print mag, and there's you start to see there be an online component to things sometimes too, where they actually acknowledge the fact that Famitsu always leaks, like 2 days early every single week, which used to be a big pain in the ass. I remember here, where it was like, okay, we're securing this cover story, and it's going to be on Famitsu, but Famitsu's going to leak like 3 days early, and it's going to be everywhere online. Oh no, it's a print magazine. Don't worry. Like it's not online. It's like what? So anyway, online is still lags behind. I mean, it's very much like I guess it was a long time ago though here, like
They're closing the gap.
early 2000s or something like that in terms of print versus online. Yeah, like Dragon's Dogma Online was announced recently, and that actually led with the trailer, I think, online the same week it was coming out of Famitsu, basically the day that people knew it was going to leak in Famitsu. So it's this weird thing where
Now they're planning for like, okay, this is the actual day.
right. So print still leads like in the planning kind of phase, but the online outlets, it's really weird. There are the really big professional places that are run by like major conglomerates that have like a lot of different properties.
Oh, fuck.
And then there are the fan blogs that totally don't play by the rules at all, and are really literally like just a guy in his bedroom.
Yipper.
And,
That is true.
Yeah.
Sussex Peto.
Not a lot in between. There's not like the blogs, the kind of semi-pro blogs.
I'll be trying to get a $25 probably Steam card to people.
That we have, like the crutches and the joysticks and stuff like that.
And I'll of course make sure to announce the stream
The days like pre
well beforehand.
Man's Cafe.
I'll be advertising it so that way anyone who's a follower and who happens to see my stuff, they'll have plenty of time to
Somewhere.
attend. It won't be just like, oh, I'm going to do it today. No, I'm going to advertise it at least like a week beforehand. So, yeah, follow up. Keep an eye. When I hit 100, we'll do it.
I've talked about a million times on our podcast is like mobile games. That's where all the money is made in Japan.
Right.
Famitsu in the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
has
yeah, I
been
guess. I don't know.
mobile games. Like, and that's
Hey,
not a
man,
big deal.
I try and do my thing.
The last bastion for
Thanks, man.
consoles, but
Take it
now,
easy.
Like they've got like games like Terra Battle on the cover and stuff. Like and they've got like download codes in every issue every week for people to get stuff. So they're even adapting in a sense. They're still the main console outlet as far as print goes, but they also cover a lot of mobile games too, which just signifies like the shift that's going on in Japan.
Right. Yeah. And streaming too. You're asking about that. Like, that's kind of just now starting to happen, not just in games, but in general. Like being YouTube personalities and like comedy duos that came out of YouTube and stuff like that.
There are some huge YouTube channels in Japan. Like some of them are among the biggest. Max Mirai, that is one guy who's like does like Puzzle and Dragons and Monster Strike and all the big mobile games. He was like featured in a YouTube commercial, and he had like a giant billboard in Shibuya Station, and he's got like millions of followers. Like, he's kind of a big deal, but a lot of people are seeing that, following him now, and trying to do their own like streaming
Yeah.
shows and stuff.
The weird thing about him in particular is he's also the president or the founder of
App
Bank,
Yeah, it's like
which
it's a company that makes games. They have a division that makes games, but their main business actually originally was like covering the mobile scene, like covering games, covering products. They have like statistics and stuff for games and downloads and stuff. They were kind of like just a big cell phone company that happens to also make their own games. And the one guy who's the president, who wears his name on his T-shirt everywhere he goes, like just became a YouTuber.
yeah, and so
Kind of a crazy story.
yeah.
And again, we beat this guy before we had to do the like weird mechanic.
Also individually is like
Nope.
the biggest game YouTuber
Yeah. Fucking overachievers.
in Japan.
Does that mean that he then gets to like sit on Japanese television and watch videos of people preparing food and like going, oh, as the food is made?
Well, that's required of any Japanese.
That's still my end
celebrity.
goal. I want to try to parlay this into like I want to just be famous in Japan for nothing
Yeah.
and not learn any Japanese along the way. I'm just going okay, and be American for money.
Just say everything tastes good because they never
Yeah.
say anything tastes bad.
That's true. And there's only
Right,
two
yeah.
words for taste. They only ever say one of two words after eating something. It'd be
Right.
like, it would be like, oh, that's tasty. In
To the
English,
point,
it's
to the
like,
point that one guy says it backwards, probably just to mix it up a little bit.
right, mayu instead of umai. It's like either oishi or umai. That's the only two words you're like allowed to say, I guess, after eating something on Japanese TV. There's no like, oh, the texture is very like this and like that. It's just like, is it
Good.
delicious or is it tasty? Which one? Of the
How
two
good
words?
is it?
That is
Oh geez. Uh-oh. Oh.
questions that dogs me every day.
But yeah, come over to Japan, and we'll see what we can do about that. You guys gotta come over.
It's been a
sometime.
while.
Yeah,
It has been
I
a
know.
while.
It's been for forever.
Yeah, it has.
So long.
2008, I think it was.
Yeah, you guys went like a month before I got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got to do to get you guys over for?
Tell Japan to put out a bunch of amazing games and guarantee they'll
happening.
all be at TGS.
Okay,
I don't
well,
know.
that part I can't really do, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be a good year for Japanese.
What's on the roster? Sell us. Like, tell us what should we be looking for?
Bloodborne? The little game called Bloodborne.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, these are all. I mean, just AAA this year. You got what? You got Bloodborne. You got Zelda. You got Metal Gear. You got Final Fantasy 15 coming out this year.
I think that got pushed.
It's getting close.
I'm
Their
pretty
dev-
sure
their
that's
devlog
next year.
just said it was like 70 or 80.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think
Maybe
they said
another
next year.
Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Yeah.
Maybe a port. I
Oh,
don't
sure.
know.
Wait.
Maybe I've said too much.
Wait, what?
All right.
What?
What?
Hot scoops on the podcast.
Edit that part out.
Oh,
I'm not supposed to say that.
oh man, really?
Yeah,
Shit, now I gotta write down the timestamp.
no, I'm kidding. I'm not.
It's the way that the way games promotion and coverage and everything has gotten globalized. Like a lot of that stuff we kind of see perfectly well from over here. So
Right. Oh yeah.
I just use my Japanese PSN account to just log in.
That's true.
To that store.
he's
to
like,
all right, well,
he buys everything on Japanese PSN.
I know.
I only buy the arcade archives games because I want to fund Hamster.
Ooh, yeah. Can you put us in touch with Hamster?
Hamster 800 yen at a time.
I actually
fucking
started
ratings.
following Hamster on Twitter because of hearing about them on your.
Yeah, do you have any idea who they are? Like this shadowy cabal of people directing all these arcade games?
I would love to know. I would love to meet those guys and
Yeah.
talk to them because I bet they would be really.
I think they've been around forever.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah?
They've been around.
But
I
yeah.
want to say they were PS2, PS1 at least.
Oh, God damn it.
They're just quietly just going about their business that you don't hear about. I mean, the leftover guys from IREM and stuff like that. That you're just like, oh, they must have gone away, and then you'll see an interview out of nowhere with them. I'm like, oh, actually, they're still there. They're doing mobile stuff, almost all of them now, but in one form or another, they're still kicking.
Yeah, that was. I started going down the dark hole of trying to figure out what the story was with Windjammers at one point.
Ah, yes, of course.
And then,
Yeah.
of course, it was like, well, okay, so Data East sold all their stuff to Gmode, and then
So sad.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
When you said IREM, I think like I had a little pain in my heart.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would love to know, like the my personal thing was I want to what happened to the Samurai Showdown 2 team Galapagos, I think was their name. Those guys were amazing, and
Yeah.
super talented, and they must have broken up and gone on to all the other guys still making fighting games now. But I really want to know kind of what happened.
Well, that's the sad story of Japan in general, though, right? All these guys who made those amazing games, I don't know if they just didn't know they made good games or didn't realize what they had, and they
Right.
just went and just disappeared into retirement. Like there was that that Red Bull had that video thing we helped out with a little while ago, the Music Academy, where they went around to, like all these old Japanese game composers and interviewed them and talked to them. And some of them had made like the most amazing music back in the day, like just incredible stuff. And they were just like living out their lives as like, you know, ordinary salarymen, like not even making music anymore. Like they didn't even realize that what they had was this talent. And it's just like,
It's like this thing that's like beloved to all these people. Yeah, was it Polygon that ran the story about the creators of the original Ninja Gaiden?
yes,
Ago?
he's one of them, yeah.
And yeah, like all those guys are they just kind of flittered away on the wind to like random positions and other
Oh,
companies.
what the? Oh, no. Gotta get that. Gotta get that. Gotta get there.
Kickstarter or something.
Yeah.
Like get out there and do it yourself.
Right, yeah. These guys they should have like a PAX panel or something because they would get all this love and all these people would come out that would be, you know, they don't even know they have like this celebrity.
Yeah, like when we approached the Mega Man 2 music guy for Mighty Number 9, he was the same way. He was just sort of like blown away by the love. And it's like, really, dude? Like you made like probably the best NES soundtrack ever.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't even know. You're just like, you're so humble. And
Just
so,
like search your name on the internet sometimes.
Yeah, seriously.
Just see what comes up.
You gotta build yourself.
You're a little behind on the internet.
I guess so.
I don't know if you think back that far though to what those guys were doing then, like I was reminded reading that Ninja Gaiden article that the big innovation in that game was like depicting the game characters in ways other than using like just the game sprites, you know? That's like
Oh,
the
like the
cutscenes in that game,
cutscenes, right.
like just the kind of cinematic angles on the cutscenes and stuff. Like that was huge back then. Like nobody had ever done that before. But I don't know, going back to that well again at this point, you know, it's like I guess Mighty Number 9 is a good example. Recapturing old magic that was kind of magical in one
Yeah, I
time.
mean, if you think about like the thing that set Ninja Gaiden apart and go like do it again,
Right.
It's like it's
Right.
cutscenes.
Right.
Every game has cutscenes now.
Right.
You can't really,
Right.
you know, that's not necessarily unique anymore.
Yeah. So how are you guys feeling about just, you know, operating in Japan, you know, the state of the industry over there? Like, obviously business is healthy. You guys are doing a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, it's good. It's good in one way. Like we're lucky enough to get these big projects, localization projects, and then get to do like a lot of weird side stuff all the time. So, you know, we've started doing more mobile stuff. Started off just out of necessity, but then John got bitten by the Monster Strike bug. To the tune of an embarrassing number that we probably can't say on this podcast, but
Are you a whale?
he is a whale.
I'm a retired whale.
That's true.
My New Year's resolution was to retire a whale suit. So, but I will still take the I was telling someone yesterday, when my birthday rolls around, if you want to give me money to use on orbs and stuff, no problem.
That Patreon is coming soon. But yeah, and then we start doing a lot of like stuff on the side for fun. GDC, we set up the Japanese speakers, so that's another reason why we're here.
Oh, God.
Although this year, I think it's just the
Just a couple of the
Dragon Rampa.
Gun Rampa guy.
I always get that wrong. Yeah.
And
what is it, Dragon Grandpa?
Yeah,
True.
Dragon Grandpa.
Yes. Okay.
The writer.
Yeah.
Writer.
Oil of time.
Dude will be doing a talk as well. Although his talk's in English, so we're not really like. We just had to sort of set it up.
I really want to see that talk.
Me too,
Because like,
exactly.
how the
Is
hell
the
they
talk
did
just
that?
how they did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I think it might be called how we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like how and why. And like I actually had the title. How did we do that? Question mark. Like he didn't even know himself. Like how the fuck? This is amazing. How did we even do this ourselves? But then he wanted to change it back to his like drier title. But I'm really interested to see that that talk. That game looks amazing. Like I don't even like seeing it when it's normally playing because it just looks like an amazing looking 2D
Right.
game.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's the magic, right?
only at the end, and I just want to see it just be doing that, changing the angle.
Yeah, they trick you, and then it's like,
Stuff.
oh shit, this is way more than what I thought.
Unbelievable, and with Unreal Engine too,
Yeah.
which I think most people think like, oh, it's gotta kind of look like this one type of game if it's being made with Unreal Engine.
Is that game? Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big announcement today.
Yeah. Yeah. That game went from like at the beginning of our deliberations on best looking game of last year, like half the people on staff hadn't even seen it.
Right.
And by the end of the discussion, it was like the unanimous
Yeah, we
vote.
all just like the YouTube.
It's just like
channel.
one
No,
YouTube.
fucking look at this. God damn it, look at this shit.
Yeah.
No, right here, right here. Okay.
Wait until the end where
until
it
he hits
moves.
the dust button and
Yeah.
it just goes all fucking crazy.
What fucking game are they talking about?
You know, correct me if I'm wrong. If this perception is mistaken, but I've kind of enjoyed watching you guys morph from like you started out as just pure like localization. You know, if you look on our site, there's a video
Yeah.
of us
The
talking to
video's
you.
kind of famous.
Ah.
Like,
2008.
Come and talk to us.
Really?
Like I saw you in that giant.
Yeah,
bomb
with
video.
your wall with all the signatures on it.
Yeah,
We need to
But,
thank we need to thank you guys because
Yeah.
probably over half our interns that we get are like, oh, yeah, we're like, how did you hear about us or whatever? And they're like, oh, Giant Bomb.
Oh, no
So either that or on the podcast
Yeah.
or whatever.
But like,
Depending on the quality of your interns, you're welcome, or we apologize sincerely.
All the Giant Bomb ones have been great.
just disavow any response. But like, it seems like you guys morphed into like almost sort of like ombudsman for the like relations between like Japan and the West. Yeah, like doing the GDC translation and stuff like that.
It's very definitely intentional. Like we wanted to. I mean, localization is always going to be kind of the core and the bread and butter. But I mean, we're lucky we still get some of these big projects, but there's less big projects to go around. Even so, we've kind of expanded on the localization, and we've actually started doing English into Japanese localization, which I've probably talked about before on this.
Oh,
this
fuck.
podcast or on some Giant Bomb stuff, but it's
Where?
for
God damn it.
English into Japanese. It's almost kind of like it used to be Japanese into English.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on a lot of games and stuff like that, and especially now that sometimes you'll see some indie games come over and stuff like that, and things are just like like not line broken right and stuff that anyone can tell. You don't have to read the language well, but the Stick It to the Man, I think, was still called just Stick It to the Man in Japanese. It didn't have any kind of
Which has
localized
zero
title.
meaning
it
over
just
there.
means nothing, and there was not even like katakana. How do you, if you want to tell your friend about this cool game, how do you even? You just have to take a picture of the name and show it to him or whatever. Yeah, but so we started. We're doing more of that kind of stuff, but also like the weird little stuff. Like we'll do focus groups now and then, or we'll do people will come around for interviews and stuff like that. The Polygon thing that you were talking about, we help those guys out with that, and we'll do the GDC stuff. Just a lot of weird little odd jobs and stuff. People will come over and want to have some new technology or middleware or like Oculus, and we'll just help them out.
Our kind of mission statement has sort of become like we just want to make cool shit happen, basically, right? Like,
Yeah,
It's a good goal to have.
as long as it's in the gaming industry
Yeah.
and it involves somehow Japan and somehow America or one or the other.
Just facilitate
Even,
it,
yeah.
one way or the other. Yeah, that's cool.
Do you guys ever find yourselves in the position of like not just taking a project for a game that's already been approved to be localized, but actually kind of advocating for a game that hasn't and like think should come over?
Well, yeah. I mean, when we meet with clients and stuff, a lot of times we'll be asked like, "Hey, what about like you should just put that out on on Steam or the eShop or something like that old property that never got localized." Or it was pretty cool to see. I can't take credit for Valkyria Chronicles.
Oh, right, yeah.
It was pretty cool to see that come out, and when I saw that and how big it seemed from the outside, at least that came on Steam, it was like, oh, maybe other companies will notice that, and that will have like a ripple effect. But
It definitely seems like Japan is like paying way more attention to the PC. Than it has been. I mean, I'm sure like as development has shifted, like it's only natural. But like like King of Fighters 2002 is coming out. It's like even just weird old shit coming over there that way.
right, and you got you have forward-thinking companies like Platinum, doing Rising, I think even for the Mac, and Metal Gear coming out for. I mean, what the hell? Metal Gear's coming out on the PC. That's crazy. You would have said that 10 years ago.
If guys who worked in the game industry in Japan years ago who made these games, if they're smart, they're going to see that like people who grew up loving those games now are the ones with the disposable income, and where are they? They're on Steam, and they're on places like that.
Oh shit, a wind up onion night? Oh, I only rolled 11.
Nostalgia reasons,
Fuck.
right? Like you and I probably buy a lot of old games just because like they tickled us 20 years ago. It's not like I'm dying to play them right now, but we have the money to buy
I have
them.
purchased every single arcade archives on the PS4, whether I recognize the game or not. 24 of them now. I can play Karate Champ on a PS4.
How much did they go for?
820 yen.
That's the thing. Like the prices are usually still kind of a little out of
It's
line.
a little crazy. I'm only justifying it because every 5 or 6 releases, I get them together and we record a video.
Right.
So it's
right.
like, it's for coverage. You need to.
That stuff.
What you're really doing is just trying to build your own version of Game Room.
Exactly. The Microsoft Game Room lives on, and Hamster is now fucking steering the ship.
I love when you guys talk about that stuff though, because nobody. Maybe I'm just missing it, but I don't find coverage of that stuff really pretty much anywhere on
Damn.
the webs.
Well, you
Oh,
can
well.
find a podcast full of crusty old men.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
They're bitter about everything.
like game. I'm sure, like you guys being out of it for as long as you have. Weird over here, like I'm sure.
All right.
At it, you
gotta
talk
take us
about, like,
with you.
Yeah, it's like we need to get out while we can.
So I'm done with circus.
But yeah, I mean everything everything is just.
So now I need to do Labyrinth, which is going to take for fucking ever.
The big sites kind of not big sites anymore.
Right.
Like print is just
But
pretty much
let's
game
get my white mage on. Yeah.
Magazine at the airport, and I'm like, oh, is there any,
really? Is there
any
still- that's
other?
still-
Well, I think it's repurposed from the UK or something.
okay.
It's not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
the domestic.
Yeah, like Future at some point, I think they merged U.S. and U.K. staffs or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's really weird to watch it all happen. Like it's stuff that like you look at it like a long time ago and be like, well, of course this would happen.
Right.
And of course Game Informer would make the cut because they have their retail ties and this deep entrenched sort of thing. But it's still really weird to see like now as the YouTube and Twitch stuff rise up,
Right.
watching those people do to the internet what the internet
Exactly,
did to
to print, yeah.
and it's kind of fun to watch. I don't know.
It is, yeah.
It's fucking chaos.
Yeah.
Very few, right, that are still around. I mean, between you and the Game Informer guys, I can't think of anyone else I know personally, anyway, from back in our era. And I'm talking like a long time ago. We were doing this. We all started this in like the late '90s, mid to late '90s. But I mean, back then,
Jeff, you were like
You were around.
early '90s. Right?
I didn't get like a paying gig really until like I was on a print magazine for a year in like '94 that folded after 3 issues and then
So like a print version of Nuke or something, maybe.
yeah no
A special one-off.
and then ended up at GameSpot in '95,
Okay.
'96.
and the Game
96.
Informer guys are the same guys.
Right,
from way
exactly.
back.
Yeah.
The game,
Like Andy was like one of the first dudes I met like in '92 when I first started going to CES and stuff.
Why, hello there, viewer.
Still running that thing, or he wasn't running it then.
Welcome.
And now we're all being equipped.
There's Cure 2.
Some damn millennials.
But that's not the white mage I crave. Blah, blah, blah.
Nostalgic twinge when you guys were talking about Puyo Puyo Tetris because it reminded me of the days where, a game.
Where is it? There we
game
go.
out of Japan would get discovered and nobody kind of knew about it, and then a magazine or a website would highlight it, and all of a sudden it would become this thing. I mean, Katamari Damacy, right? Was that kind of game?
Yeah,
And it was
totally.
very word of mouth, but those games. Yeah. Those games don't come out as often, or when they do, they're just noticed, I guess, earlier. Or
It was nice to have a good reason to like verify that NCS still exists. It was just like, oh wow, they're still doing it. Great.
Japan video game.
Right.
Yeah, Tronics. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, talking about trying to justify a trip to TGS, like, it definitely makes you ask yourself if those kinds of games can still be discovered in that way, or if they're all just
Oh,
gonna get out of the
Jesus.
internet so fast.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and there's usually, 1 or 2 games at TGS. I mean, it's not like the old days.
Alright.
There were
Let's investigate corruption.
10 or 20 games you'd never heard of, but usually still 1 or 2 things manages to come out or be shown for the first time, at a TGS. So we can make it worth your while. We'll make it worth your while to come out
Okay.
for TGS, or even not TGS. We'll make it this.
Yeah, those are big words, but you might have to hold you.
Have you guys played an iPhone game called Dreeps? DREEPS.
No, is it out on the U.S. App Store?
It is.
You should check that out. That's like what I would say is like it's a phone game, obviously, but it's like a modern kind of found that awesome Japanese game that nobody knew about sort of thing. They call it an alarm playing game. You basically it's an RPG where you use the alarm setting on the iPhone to play basically, and that's it. You just have to set the alarm, and your guy does stuff while you're not playing.
Oh, okay.
It's basically for people. Their pitch is like you want to play JRPGs, but you're too old and you don't have any time to play it anymore.
Yeah.
And so you just check in throughout the day and see what's my guy or my party doing right now? Oh, they're fighting a boss.
So
okay.
it plays itself for 90% of the time?
It plays itself 100% of the time.
It's like progress quest for
Yeah,
iPhone.
exactly.
It's gorgeous too. It is really nice.
Yeah,
really
3D
cool.
classic 16.
Oh, fuck.
It has
All guys
really,
dig it.
yeah, it has interesting art, and it's it doesn't over-explain itself. It's got some weird stuff going on. Yeah, it's fun. It's still getting updated and stuff like that too. So it's.
I was
worth
just
checking
thinking,
out.
kind of nowadays those kind of hidden gems or whatever are probably going to more and more start turning up on phones and stuff, from
Yeah.
Japan, because that's where all the developers are moving.
And that's been the hard thing. Just phones, just regardless of territory.
Why, hello there, viewer.
Just
Welcome
so
to my channel.
Every single day, you're just like,
I read today 500 games a day.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Okay.
It's just like what.
Jesus Christ.
Who's supposed to we're even in a position where we should be kind of trying to curate stuff and find the
Yeah.
best of it, but with numbers like that, it's overwhelming
Yeah.
for us.
Steam to a lesser extent is the same thing. Of if you You know, they've got their like popular new releases, but if you turn that filter off and just do all new releases, like that whole box cycles every single day.
And it's increasingly like a lot of iOS and Android ports. It's like games that appeared on phones that they're just bringing to PC.
Like you even people like us who are supposed to kind of be the arbiters of this stuff have to rely on word of mouth to a large extent.
Yeah.
It's like no one group of people could sift through all this stuff at one time.
Yep, absolutely.
It's crazy. But we're gonna have to kick our feet up and take a short break here. But I want to hear about more weird Japanese games when we come back.
It's snack time.
I love snack time.
That point in the podcast where you're like, this thing's kind of long.
It is.
Probably eat something.
Feeling a little peckish.
Yeah, well, before you walk out to the vending machine and get some kind of candy bar or something,
Chocolates.
you need to not do that.
Wait, but you said snack time.
Healthy snack time.
Oh.
Operative word here. Healthy snack time. Just no candy bar, potato chips, so they're not good for you.
Are you saying my body is a temple?
Your body is a temple, and you need to put Nature Box inside the temple.
I don't know how a box is going to fit in there.
Oh, well, it's actually...
Hey there,
the
viewer.
box are four
Welcome.
Single-serve pouches and one surprise full-size
okay.
bag.
All right.
That's the contents of the free trial sampler pack
That sounds more edible.
that you can get over at naturebox.com/bombcast. It's a free trial of these healthy snacks.
So wait, hang on.
Flicks with
Is it
sleep.
operative word or is it free?
Single detrimental
Free and
effect.
healthy.
Push it
Mod Run
around.
are fight for the top spot.
Raise.
You can get pops of multiple varieties. There's all sorts of stuff when you transfer over to the full Nature Box subscription. They will send you a package every month containing hot snacks. Hot indeed. They're awesome and cool.
Not necessarily
Not,
the temperature
not
kind.
necessarily the hot kind, unless you're like live in the desert somewhere and leave the box out too long. Maybe they would heat up. I don't know where you live.
Like what you do with the snacks after you get a hold of them, up to you.
Exactly.
Damn it.
I recommend
Okay.
maybe you eat them. I don't know. I can't say for sure.
Eat the snacks. Respect the temple.
Exactly. Respect your temple with Nature Box. Go to naturebox.com/bombcast and hook up that free sampler pack.
Oh, Bombcast. I love you. Oh, God.
What do you guys play on the plane over here? Like, what's your travel accompaniment as far as like portable games and counting Monster?
Yeah, well,
We'll get to that.
okay. Yeah, I played enough Monster Hunter while we were working on it to probably never play it
Oh, yeah?
ever again. You know, well, now I kind of do want to play it because everybody's actually playing it. But so not to talk about that, I've had Link Between Worlds in my 3DS for like last 6 months, and so that's my like. Yeah, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna finish it. It's like kind of travel game that I then don't like end up pulling out and finishing for whatever reason. But I actually didn't play anything. I played Take the Ambien and Fall Asleep on the plane.
It's a great game.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it was pretty good. John, did you?
Yeah, not to
tell
bore
me you had
I'm kind of in
something
the
better.
same boat. Well, it's Monster Hunter. I mean, that just happens to be what we're playing right now.
Oh, you mean
This came
Monhunt?
out.
That's right.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I started playing it, so I can say that now. I think I'm in the club, right?
I'm very proud of you, actually. I was shocked. So you guys talked about it like twice on the show, and both times I was at the gym. The first time, like, wait, what? I had to like get off the treadmill. I'm like, wait a second. They're talking about Monster Hunter on Giant Bombcast, and then
Was this recently, or?
well, no, the first time you talked about it, I think was maybe the demo. It was like a month ago.
Well,
and
so
then just last week, you briefly.
Yeah. I think
Same.
was it 3? Like Patrick,
Yes.
when he was still here. God rest his soul. Oh, did you?
God.
I killed it.
Okay.
I took a stab at 3.
Did you?
It was just like,
Alright.
Right. Yep.
So I can see where this thing's going. I can see like the framework that would make this interesting. It's just
Yeah. How
taking a
far-
while to get there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How far? Let me ask you. How far are you into it?
I mean, I just started yesterday, so not very, but I'm on I'm on the 2-star quests right now.
Right.
Like
You need an enabler. You need like a buddy to
Senpai.
a senpai,
Okay.
to walk you through the first few hours and get you there. And then once you get there, it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need that, and honestly, it's this thing that everybody hates to hear, but it's just the honest thing with this game. I mean, I don't expect people to like Monster Hunter. Basically, let me just put it that way. Like, you are right to not like Monster Hunter because most people will pick it up and play it for the normal shot that you will give a game.
The box quote.
Is like a half hour. Yeah, don't write that one on the box. But you play a game for a half hour or especially an hour, and you expect it to win you over by that point. And I think you guys talked about it last time on the podcast. I think it's very true. I think one nice effect of Dark Souls has been that people have realized that sometimes there are these games that actually you don't get or kind of hate even, or just whatever. It doesn't click with you for so many hours, and then you kind of like,
I have no mana.
now you can't stop playing it. You're super into it, and that's been my experience, and most people I know are really into Monster Hunter. That's kind of what happens. Is it's only after I put it at like 10 to 15 hours, which sounds ridiculous, and is ridiculous. But it's a game that's
It's like Final Fantasy 13 territory. It's like Destiny territory. Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13 never, ever.
Oh, it's okay.
No.
Right.
Don't lump it in with that piece of garbage. But it really is that, and the reason is because you finally learn all the different systems that the game doesn't totally explain to you. It does more in this edition. I don't know how your guys' experience has been with this game, but it's still very much the formula, the Monster Hunter formula. But it's more and more palatable every time, and I think like based on the reviews, this is kind of the one at least that finally made it click for like a lot of people.
It seems like if they continue on this trajectory, like the next one will be the one that like finally achieves like some kind of mainstream breakthrough, or it's like, the one that makes like that Dark Souls crowd, like it makes sense for them,
because the audience will be primed off of this one at that point. From hearing about it, like that's why I finally decided to give this a shot, because it finally hit. Like I hit my number of people I know playing it and raving about it, where I was like, all right, I may hate this, but I have to know what the hell it is.
I
gotta see it for myself.
That helps too, though, having a community of people to play with. Like when you have a community, you've got people there who are willing to play with you and do quests every night and stuff. It makes it a lot easier to keep it going. Because if you're doing it alone, like sometimes you'll just like hit a wall, and it's like if you don't have somebody there to help you, you're just gonna stop playing.
So I found an article. I was just googling around on Kotaku about why it's so big in Japan and not elsewhere. And it's kind of the stuff you've heard before of like. It's a lot more socially acceptable to play handheld games in large groups in public, and like also the average lifestyle is more conducive to that because you're on trains a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah, the population density.
Yeah, I mean, people are closer together.
Yeah, like you might see us get excited about Street Pass this or that, whereas like, I only Street Pass when I go to PAX.
Exactly right. Like, I don't even bring my 3DS. I can Street Pass with one or two people in this building sometimes. Yep. And that's about it.
I'll catch a couple on the bus here and there, but yeah, it's not a guaranteed thing by the time you go out.
Whereas, in Japan, you're on the train every day, and it's this and you're gonna get whatever.
Done.
Doing the newest, latest thing, and you have these features in games like Dragon Quest that are.
It's why I really appreciate Nier on the Vita. They solved a lot of those problems.
John, you met the guy, right? Like, because you hated Nier more than anybody that I know.
And then I found out the guy who
and then you met the guy.
Was a friend of ours.
That's right.
and a guy I like.
You just like grab him and go, what were you trying to accomplish? What was the actual goal?
The first thing. So as soon as he said he made Nier, everything went white for like 30 seconds while I like backtracked through everything I've talked about with him to make sure I never like slaughtered Nier in front of him. And fortunately I didn't. But he's the producer of Eco. Like he was Kenji Kaido. Like,
so he's got some chops.
Yeah, he's a good guy and he makes good stuff. So I can't say it's his fault, but he was technically the guy responsible for it.
Oh, was he also the producer on Shadow of the Colossus? Probably, maybe.
He might have been. He was with Ueda for a while. I don't remember at what point he got off.
Yeah, I've got a poster on my wall with his signature on it.
Yeah, he might have been.
Ueda's. Yeah.
They're patching Nier.
Oh wait, I haven't done my attribute either.
Good.
What?
Yeah. Nier is shutting down.
They're
Service is stopping. Nier is going away.
Does it use like some Google info or something that they need to?
They might have to re-up.
Oh wow, so it's just like we don't want to pay this license
Well,
fee
it's like no
anymore.
games took advantage. Like you saw those early launch games. They're like, you passed by someone that played fucking Mod Nation Racers. Here's a track mark.
I still don't know how it works. I never fully understood it.
I remember we went down to Sony to pick up our Vita. Or no, they sent us the Vita, but they didn't have SIM cards for it yet. So we had to drive down there, get a SIM card, and then I had the 3G functionality. So we're driving around down there, like Foster City, like around that whole area, and I'm just like hitting buttons on this thing over and over again. Well, what does this do? Like, okay, now I can check in at places,
right?
And it made even less sense at that point.
Oh, I need to be an Arcanist. Fuck.
Not that many people to fucking near pass with or whatever. But yeah, the whole thing.
I thought it was Thaumaturge.
From the get-go.
Like the only, and I only understood it because also, I mean, part of the problem with it is the interface. It was all messed up, but I only, when seeing these stories about them shutting down.
Okay, so I guess.
What the point of it was supposed to be, which I think is, bring it back to Monster Hunter, I think it was kind of to be like, hey, you're at your office and you play, let's say you play Monster Hunter or something, here's like 4 other people that are close to you that also have played Monster Hunter in like the last
Damn
4
it.
hours or something. And then I don't know, what are you supposed to do then? Like walk
It
around
shows their
and try to
name, so
find
you
them?
could just send them a
That's
friend
true, I
request.
guess,
Like,
yeah.
at that point, it's not friend codes or whatever arcane Nintendo shit.
Or in the opposite example, you walk over and say like, "Hey man, you play Monster Hunter?"
So go meet the guy in accounting who's a big Monster Hunter fan.
Yeah.
Then you got oh god,
Hey man, you...
rip that game out of my 3DS. Throw it out the window. How does your Monster Hunter obsession relate to your Destiny obsession? Do you feel like those are cut from the same cloth? Because I know you guys in Destiny.
Yeah.
Is it both
Actually,
you guys?
it's just me.
I thought John. I thought you were into it too.
John's too smart for that.
No, John quit very quickly. John quit very quickly. I think the thing about Monster Hunter that I think Destiny hasn't really gotten yet is one of the things that I will knock on Destiny for is if you have the best armor in the game, you look pretty much like everybody else. Like there is a set of best armor in the game, except for you might have one exotic piece that changes, and you can change color or whatever. But everybody kind of looks the same.
Oh right, there's like one set of armor in each tier, right?
Right. There's
Basically,
the raid armor is
Yeah.
pretty much always the best, and then depending on which exotic piece you choose, like you can look a little bit different. But in Monster Hunter, there's so many different sets of armor, all with different buffs that come built into the armor.
And so many different ways to combine them and wear them too. You're not just
Yeah.
full sets, you're mixing and matching.
Is like the bragging rights aspect a big part of it?
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah. So you have a huge kick-ass. I mean, that's part of the reason why it's so important to play socially. Is half of it you are really just like showing off your outfit. Literally, it's like, oh, I've killed this badass monster enough times to have a full suit of armor, like made out of stuff that is obviously made out of him. You know what I mean? And I mean the art direction in those games is outstanding, and so all of the armors look really, really amazing, and all of the weapons do too. And so I would say, unlike Destiny, depending on your playstyle and the kind of buffs that you want to have and the kind of armor that you want to look like, everybody looks like pretty unique. And whereas in Destiny, the bosses are not also what I would call Destiny's strong side.
Sure.
You mean the slightly larger versions?
Yeah,
of
even
regular dudes?
even calling them bosses sometimes a stretch.
Yeah, so the beauty of Monster Hunter is kind of learning the tells. Of all the bosses. It's kind of like a huge Mike Tyson's Punch-Out fight.
Okay.
With 4 people.
All right.
But it's even more natural than that. It's not a big obvious like wink before somebody's gonna do an uppercut or whatever. It's like learning to know that your cat is about to jump on your leg or something. It's like it gets all kind of antsy and backs up, and it's like, okay, it's about to charge. You just kind of
butt at me.
you just or it's about to fart on you, depending on the monster. But you just kind of learn the behavior, and so that's part of the fun of the game is like getting this mastery to where, okay, it's going to charge. I'm going to roll left before it even starts charging. I roll left, it charges. I'm like set up to perfectly like hit it in the head now with a hammer, and it like goes down, and now all my friends jump on it and start pounding on it. It's like showing off to various degrees is a big part, I think, in the game, and like some of the most enjoyable part of it.
It's a miracle that you just gave Mark bait to talk about Destiny, and he talked more.
Yeah, so there's not enough Destiny talk on this podcast, Brad.
I hit a
I'm
wall.
ashamed of you.
I hit a wall at a certain point where I could tell I was pushing my luck.
I know. I did the same thing.
Also,
on
what
our
else is there?
podcast.
There's
There's
nothing
nothing
to talk
to
about,
it,
yeah,
right?
There's not. There's
Like
really not that
in
much stuff on it.
like what, 2 months ish?
But the
like
new
that?
raid-
There will be stuff to talk about.
Did you, Jeff?
Oh my god, why are there so many people here? Holy shite.
You like Vault of Glass?
And welcome, viewer.
To a point where I realized that because they're on this ramp, this MMO style thing, like it doesn't matter.
Welcome to my little
They
Twitch stream.
trivialized so much content
Right.
to get to the new end game
Right.
that I can just pick it up whenever
Right.
and see it. So it's
Oh,
like
wait, there's an Ethernet. That's what I need.
Yeah, and at a certain point you can go back and play.
Ah, God,
so powerful at that point.
That's part of, I think.
I need to go get my Arcanist on.
Address is kind of the idea that, well, it definitely happened with this first expansion that they did, because it came out, just like 3 months or so, two or 3 months.
3.
At 3 months, and it basically negated the best
650,
armor in the game
oh.
and all the weapons and stuff like that, like in one fell swoop, and it was so quickly. And I think a lot of people were like, "Well,
Excuse me.
you know, they reset exotics and they did a bunch of weird stuff." But that raid is really good. I mean, if there's anything you're going to go in and do, to me, it's the raids.
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
not that kind of gameplay doesn't exist for me anywhere. I mean, I know raids in MMOs, but that action-based of a thing with that much strategy at the same time, like, to me, it's just enjoyable. To me,
Yes, I want to become an arcanist.
because I still do a little bit. I know, Brad, you've even fallen off a little bit lately.
Like, which rep are you grinding at this point? Like,
Well,
what?
that's the
are you
thing
done
about
with
it.
that?
Like, I mostly it's like a chat app, right? Like, there's a group of friends that still play it, and so I play it to just to be checking in with those guys and doing it. And there's still a couple really rare weapons that I haven't gotten that I would like to get.
What are you on 9 for?
Galahorn.
You don't have it?
No.
What?
Are you kidding me?
How's that possible?
most-
Everybody had
No.
it. Well, they've never sold it again, right?
And there probably will never sell
Yeah, that
again,
makes sense.
because now it's the one thing. But
I got that thing out of an Ingram in November.
are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. You really want to get mad? I've never leveled Wolfpack rounds on it.
It's wasted on you.
No.
Wasted.
If only I could trade it to you for something.
I actually got pissed off when you sold Icebreaker recently.
Yeah,
because I felt,
yeah, a lot of people did.
I felt all special, and then now everybody, you just hear the whole Icebreaker sound everywhere. But
Sure.
anyway, it's basically, to me, it's like shooting baskets at this point. It's like
Okay.
just the lining up a headshot and pulling the trigger. I mean, to me, it's kind of the same thing of prestiging in Call of Duty, right? Like, at a certain point, you're just playing it because you enjoy. It's repetitive, but it's a little different every time. And the simple act of lining up a shot and pulling a trigger is like hitting whatever, firing whatever neurons in my brain that is still fun. Like because the controls are so good on
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally what
Right.
kept me coming back too.
Like,
It's just
that
fun to
that
play.
ends up being like one of the depressing things about it. Is there are so many things about it that are right that if the content end of it was there,
Feel like
you'd be like,
wasted.
okay, well this then I'd probably still be playing it.
Right,
But,
yeah.
but I do still play Call of Duty a couple times a week.
Right.
You know.
I think the test will be like, so when the new expansion comes out, are you still interested enough to say, okay, I'll go it again?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I already paid for it,
Right.
but I felt broken by the last one, where it's just like I don't want to like they've built a few more ramps, and I'm just like I don't want to grind that much rep. It's the same thing that put me off of World of Warcraft.
Right.
You know, you get to that point in the game where you're like, okay, well, now I really need to start playing with a tight group of people, which is not necessarily how I play a lot of games. So
Right,
it's
right.
Like, I don't want to plan like, hey, we got a Destiny date. It's like, no, I'm just gonna throw it in when I have time.
Yeah.
And play when I can play. And that's just not how that game works anymore. And that's yeah, exactly like with WoW, it was like, okay, I'm only in contested zones now. My friends have all leveled past me and don't want to come back and help me.
Right,
So I'm
right.
here on my own, dying over and over again. And at some point, it's just like, well, fuck this.
I will be curious if they start doing stuff to try to get lapsed players before they expand, like double XP equivalent, like double XP weekends or stuff like bring your level 9 guy back on and we'll get you up to 20 or something that.
Like I'm sure they've still got numbers they could trot out that would make it look great, but
Yeah.
anecdotally, I know so many people who are like the most diehard Destiny players I knew that have all fallen off in the last 2-3 weeks.
Of course, but to me, the real question is, and the reason that I was asking you, Jeff, that I would be interested in is, unlike World of Warcraft, nobody's paying a subscription for every
Right.
month, right?
Yeah.
So as far as they're concerned, as long as people come back when the next expansion hits, as long as people liked it enough to come back, because they're just not going to be able, I don't think ever, but to fill that to make that kind of content, like, are they ever going to be able to make enough to really bridge, the 3 months or 6 months between these expansions?
Probably not.
Or is it just, hey, it's something that you enjoy and you play intensely for a month or two, and then you put it down and you play other stuff, and then you come back?
Like
I
it's
feel
not
like
meant to be a lifestyle, right?
Yeah, but I feel like the telling thing that is so at what point in the game's life cycle do you think that they introduce like horde mode, like co-op wave based?
That's rumored for House of Wolves.
Okay,
the next
because that's the
DLC.
thing you look at and go like, well, that fits in with Destiny's overall style. It's not competitive because, like, some people are just never going to want to play the competitive no matter what.
Right.
It's something for you to do to get that feeling of lining up that shot, and there's a progression to it. You can team up with your friends and just go.
Right.
And that's the thing that I feel like once they add that, that's them going like, okay, we at least found something that is designed to be repetitive and is accepted that it's repetitive across multiple games in the shooter genre.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job with Firefight in Halo games. Like,
Yeah.
like they've proven they can do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's like it's weird that that's not there in a sense because they're kind of expecting people to replay this like kind of story content instead, which I think is like a really weird bet to place.
And there's a lot of stuff that's not there, and there's a lot of stuff that is, still early, and I think absolutely going to change. And I think, years from now, people will look back on the first year of Destiny like they do the first parts of a lot of games and be like, oh my god, like, I can't believe I played that much when before they fixed, this. I mean, even stuff like the heavy ammo bug that just got fixed like last weekend. I don't know if you even know about that,
Yes.
but like, yeah, so
How the fuck was that in there for 6 months?
I mean, yeah. I guess it was really tied into like a lot of different systems and actually surprisingly difficult to fix. I mean, they talked a bunch about it, but even so, it's like, wow. I mean, there must be a list a mile long of stuff to fix and prioritize that they have, because every once in a while there's stuff like, well, this is so easy if they just did this or whatever. But there's so many and so much of that kind of stuff. But to me, the stuff that's there, it's still so engaging. And I don't even play the multiplayer stuff. I hate it. I suck. I just get destroyed. Anymore.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
Yeah, it's not like the old Quake days. I could hold my own in Quake, and not anymore at all in anything multiplayer gaming. But yeah, in the Destiny multiplayer, I think there's so many different ways to die instantaneously as well that that never really caught on with me. But
have they not done like horse armor or hats or anything like that yet?
No, so like when you're talking about it's not a steady revenue stream. You buy the game up front, that's it. And there probably are like bean counters at Activision that go like, yeah, we're not going to greenlight like ongoing content for this thing because it's not an ongoing revenue stream. Which leads me to have like the darkest thoughts about like, what if they just started selling shaders and stuff, and then they can make more content all the time?
Like if you look at the trajectory of Call of Duty, like for the longest time they just sold maps, and then the last few years they went like, oh shit, Snoop Dogg voice pack. Like, Advanced Warfare has like, do you want an American flag on your jetpack? It's $3.
Right.
All that shit, all that cosmetic stuff.
Has that done anything for the content output though? Because they're still just doing map packs,
No, they
right?
still just do map packs for the content. It's just like it's one more way for them to try to get theirs.
Well, see, that's a bummer because like I would at least, if they went that route with Destiny, I would at least want there to be like, I don't know, more meaningful daily quests or something.
Did the
to make up
community,
for it.
did the Call of Duty community never get pissed off? Was there always the perception that they were getting as much out of the box that nobody ever really was like, wait, why do I have to buy the American flag? I used to just get that. Like,
Yeah, I think that there's probably enough unlockable stuff in the game itself that this stuff is just weird.
it's like the only way to get it is to buy it.
Right,
It's not
exactly.
like
There's no in-game way to unlock it.
Because it just seems like it would make sense to me, especially if everybody gets the same endgame armor and everybody's looking the same. At least give people a way to make their like endgame armor look different from each other.
Well, see, you could have taken the dramatic step of pre-ordering Call of Duty because they gave you that black shader for Destiny.
Still the best fucking shader in the game too.
what? I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have black armor in
Yeah,
Destiny.
it's like a black and gold, and because you know that black is the shader everybody wants,
yeah.
and of course they don't put it in the game.
You have Gallahorn, you have the black shader.
No, I don't have the shader. I didn't.
Right. You had
Yeah,
Gallahorn,
I
you had
have
the
black
shader.
Yeah.
Alright.
Man, fuck that game. Ugh.
I got one more Monster Hunter question.
Yes,
Yeah, go
please.
for it.
Can I buy Monster Hunter 4, put it in my 3DS, and learn everything enough to have a good gameplay experience, or do I need to go seek out some YouTube videos and or guides to figure out what the heck I'm doing?
I guess I would answer that like, have you played Dark Souls?
No.
Okay, because I think it kind of depends on the type. There are people who play Dark Souls and are like, I'm not gonna watch any videos. I'm gonna experience this kind of on my own or whatever. But I think it's just like their personality type. I don't know if like masochistic is the word, but like they're definitely like have a
I do play flight simulators.
high threshold. Okay,
Somewhat masochistic.
no, you can. I think you would still end up, if you kind of were just, I want to do it on my own, you'd still end up at some point wanting to see some content and be like, oh, I kind of never realized that stuff. I mean, the guy you mentioned him, Gaijin Hunter, that we had on our podcast last week, has played that game for hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yeah, I've lost count of the number of people who've been pushing me toward his videos.
Yeah,
in the last day.
he's great.
Funny thing too is up until recently he preferred to play alone. Like many thousands of his multiple thousands, tens of thousands of hours, whatever, were like played alone basically in the beginning. He used to prefer to
eventually discover something that he didn't know. But I mean, that's like really crazy, weird, like high level, like the amount of frames that you're invincible coming out of a roll.
Sure.
It's like crazy stuff. But
Why, hello there, viewer.
I mean,
Welcome to my channel.
I very much advocate watching the videos and doing that kind of stuff, as I would with somebody with Dark Souls. It's like, just why go through that aggravation?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, to me, it's not spoiling anything to know that stuff. You're still going to have to kind of learn it to some degree, on your own. You're still going to have to get the hand-eye stuff going yourself.
and just try to find another dude to play with because like that's
Absolutely, yeah.
I tried to get into Monster Hunter 3 times over the years and I couldn't until the third time finally when I was playing with like Mark and JJ together. That was when it finally stuck. It's like 3 times playing like 5 hours on my own. I was like, this is not good.
I'm always stunned whenever I meet somebody that's like, yeah, I prefer to play single player, or I only played single player for Hunter Hour, because to me, like, the game is really bad single player.
And that's been mostly how I've experienced it since the first game.
Yeah.
It was like that thing of like getting it in and going like, well, let's see what the fuck this
Oh
thing
God,
is.
did you, I remember reviewing it for the PS2, and it was just like, what is going on? Like, talk about like it not explaining it now. It was just like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was like, the weird PS2 online
Oh,
stuff.
God, yeah.
It was just broken and crazy. And
sign into Capcom's thing
I
first.
remember like
and then,
they didn't back then they didn't know much about like user friendliness. You had to attack with the right stick. And, like, it was
Oh, yeah, I
for
forgot
the
about
buttons
that.
Or whatever. It
Yeah,
was not.
yeah.
Whoa.
Versus
Clipping.
PSO, which was really easy to get into.
Totally.
Really fun, and everybody.
That was always the thing. Is like people would always say, "But you love PSO. You got to play Monster." It's like,
Right.
they're not. No,
Yeah.
like other than being like 4-player action games, like, they're not. There's nothing there. It's that similar.
Yeah, I was having that experience on the bus this morning. I've got like it's like a quest to go kill 5 Jagias or whatever.
yeah.
And they don't tell you, they can give you no indication like where
Where
they
to check.
are,
Oh, okay.
what they look like, where they are, or like any way to find them whatsoever. So like I spent my entire bus ride by myself running in circles around this world until I like killing enemies and basically looking at the quest counter and seeing if it had gone up or not. I was like, oh, that's a Jagia. Okay.
Okay.
Like-
Yeah, I'm curious to hear more about your guys' experience, even the kind of early experience, like what you're thinking about the game so far.
Like I can having finally played a bunch of Demons and Dark Souls over the last 2-3 years. Like I can totally see all the shared DNA between those games and this. Like having played all that stuff was a great primer for just like how this controls and like
very
what the,
much you're committing to
Yes.
a sword swing,
Right.
and it's very much okay. How far can I push this the animation before I'm going to get
Right.
a risk reward on that?
and like I felt like the loop of like kind of attack roll is very similar. Like that's
Very much.
very familiar.
Yep.
But beyond that stuff, yeah, it's
Oh,
like I don't know
we're
what
good.
the quests are. I don't know how to combine anything. Like nothing. Like the weapons don't tell you like what the attack speeds are, so I just kind of pick one.
Yeah, you
stuff
so
like
much
that.
need another person
Yeah.
just being like, no, okay, here's the quest you should take. Like, take this one. What kind of weapon you want to start off with? Because you can start off with any of them, and also what kind of armor you should grind for. Like what kind of have a goal is one of a few early lessons that people should know, because if you just I want to kill everything, it's like that's great, but you're not getting enough materials to make any one kind of set armor.
Yeah.
I'm just really afraid of setting the wrong goal and then like
Right.
spending hours doing something that like will never pay off.
Right.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a disconnect because I was doing this quest and killing other random enemies, and I was like, well, these may not be what I need, but at least I'm getting XP for them. Oh wait, this game doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I guess if you're not going after the right gear, you're literally not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
If you're carving them, you're getting something, but like the other enemies, but it's not going to be much. I mean, it's something you'll use a little bit, but that once you get into the game, a few hours, you know what you're doing. You're only going to be going after like big picture goals. So.
Do you guys like sit around physically in the same space and play for hours, or are you doing more over the internet, even though like you work with your friends that play the game?
We actually haven't played much in person at all. We usually play
usually play on the
online.
internet.
Yeah, if anything.
Does this game have built-in voice chat,
Not this
or
one.
you have to to like Skype it up or something.
Yeah, but we even when they did have voice chat, we still would Skype because it's usually
God,
like, the Wii U, we speak.
We speak.
God, that was so bad.
Your Wii Speak microphone.
But you can't understand
So
us.
awful.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
It's still like it's almost hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of like this sprawling, hugely popular multiplayer game on a handheld. You know, because like handhelds are just not known for like good online multiplayer and chat and stuff like that.
Which is one of the things, like, I wonder, like, we were talking about, maybe it will be the next one that kind of busts it open in the Western world, and each one is doing much better than the last. Like, it's compared to what it was doing on, the PS2, but also the PSP. Like, it's doing great in the West now.
This
But
one's selling pretty well too.
yeah, but you wonder that, like, does it need to have a full console version to really take off in the West as well? And like, sadly, this one there's no Wii U equivalent like there was with 3 Ultimate. Yeah, it would have been awesome, but I do think that is one thing that would be important for it to really like gain a foothold in the West is people just don't play those type of games as much on a handheld.
Especially-
Online, and online is so important.
Especially like a game you can
Right.
play dozens of hours, like staring at a small ass screen.
Right.
And not even that, like, also, you talk about the game having great art design. Like, imagine how much more that would shine on, like, the
God.
PS4 or
Well,
something.
yeah.
And, like, the spectacle of the giant monster fights and stuff like that. Like,
Right. I mean, you're not noticing it as much, but I mean, if you go back and even look at like the PSP Monster Hunter games, like those guys were pushing the hardware like crazy. I mean, they had so much money invested in stuff like that. But I mean, Capcom has really good technical artists, with their games in general. I think. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma, and it had like some performance issues. I'm kind of interested to see how that online one works now, because like
Yeah.
at least it will be smooth. But like deep down, it still looks
just about to mention that.
like one of the best looking games up until the Order. I would have said
Yeah.
for sure the best looking game.
If you assume all that stuff is real.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you guys, not to derail the conversation, but you guys are in Japan, you've got your ears to the ground.
Yeah,
What the hell is going on with Deep Down?
that's a
Where
really
is
good
that?
question.
They announced that thing 2 years ago, and there's like, I
I
know
know.
that, they've shown some footage at TGS and stuff.
It was supposed to be it was playable last TGS.
Oh, was it? Okay,
It was,
alright,
yeah. And it was very basic. It was very bare bones, but it did look that good.
Okay.
Okay.
There was supposed to be like an open beta last summer.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. Yeah, I don't actually know anything more of
It's still being made, that's
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, they've talked about it, but I haven't followed so closely to see exactly why it kind of got delayed. But it definitely was like we're gonna go back and work a little bit on the quality sort of thing, because it wasn't a visual thing. They have to be talking about the game because it looks amazing. So.
Right. Yeah, and it was as far as we know, it is not and was never a Dragon's Dogma game. A lot of people were like, "Oh, DD, it's a code name," and it was like a working title. And I mean, it looks like it could have been, right? I mean, it medieval sort of setting and knights and monsters and stuff like that. But yeah, every once in a while, like a new video will come out, and it's like, wow, this still looks amazing. When is it coming out? What's happening? Like,
Yeah, well, I feel like what's happening is like a really good question about all of Capcom.
Yeah.
And maybe that's that's probably like a different, like you guys would probably have a different perspective on that because we live in the land where Monster Hunter doesn't actually move the needle that much, so it's
Yeah.
just another release and you just go like, all right, fine, whatever.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is Capcom doing?
Right. How is that new Resident Evil game?
It's fine for what it is, it's like if you buy the whole thing, it's like $30, so you kind of set your expectations accordingly.
Right.
It's totally functional. It's kind of in the style of like 5, somewhere between 5 and 6, I guess. Like it's fairly modernized in terms of it being a third-person shooter and stuff like that. But I watched Dan play some of it himself. But
Okay. Is Dan reviewing it, or has he?
no, I think he's going to keep up with the episodes as they come out.
Okay.
Yeah, like when you mentioned like Deep Down looking amazing and stuff, like it makes me think of like all those like incredible looking MT Framework games that they were doing last gen, like Lost Planet. And,
Like, yeah,
like
like,
RE5
they
looks
were
great,
early,
like just like
they were kicking down the door on the last generation of platforms.
Yeah.
Like, really fucking getting it done.
So like I want to see some more stuff out of them.
I would love, if they ever were to do a next, current gen, a real big boy Monster Hunter game, like, I bet that thing would look freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even what they do with the handheld hardware is exclusive, but it's like, well, it's still a 3DS, it's still a 3DS game, or they were Vita games.
I just wonder if the
like
costs
that,
would get out of control at that point.
They would,
just generating the art.
They would, but like they guaranteed so many crazy amount of sales in Japan. Although yeah, PS4 is not.
Yeah, that's another thing going on in Japan right now.
So
consoles.
Yeah, this will probably blow your mind. I think Destiny is the best-selling PS4 game in Japan.
No kidding.
I think it's the best-selling. I think
Until last week, probably. It was the Dragon Quest game.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
right,
not
yeah.
even like a thing. Maybe it's the best foreign selling. Anyway, Destiny sold really well
Huh.
in Japan, but also there's kind of like it then makes me really sad, and I want to see. We're hoping. I think Bloodborne is going to be a big hardware mover in Japan because, yeah, PS4 is just not really taking off.
That's
there.
kind of the shocking thing because, like, the Xbox One was a non-starter as expected.
Right.
Like, the Wii U's doing what it's doing, but, like, PS4, like, really?
I know.
Like, PlayStation is such a strong brand.
Until they've got good reasons to buy one in Japan. It was like I think it was about a year ago this time. I think we were in Boston when there was a Sony Japan press conference, like the last night of PAX.
Oh yeah.
And I remember watching that and going like, oh, let's see what's going on in Japan. It was like, here's Ubisoft to talk about the crew.
Right,
being
yes.
translated into Japanese. I'm like, what the fuck
Yes.
is going on over there?
Ubisoft was like a full third of that conference.
It was just,
yeah.
no offense to Ubisoft, like they make a lot of games, obviously, but it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, home turf, like let's see, Japan Studio, like some of these other, Japanese developers, like what do they got going for PS4?
Right.
And just to see all this Western stuff, it was like,
I think
man, what's going on?
What is it? We're in March now. Yeah, a month from now will be a really key time to look at PS4 in Japan because this month, and Sony even knows. Like right now, there's commercials on every 20 minutes. There's this one PS4 commercial where it's like this dude who's like his friends call him up and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy, I can't come out or whatever. And then like they show Final Fantasy and they show Dragon Quest. They're coming to PS4, and that's what they say. They say like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. I mean, yeah, they're not the real ones, but they're coming to PS4. They're banking on this month.
It's like a good stopgap until the real ones.
Yeah, they're banking on this being like the time for people to finally jump on. And to be fair, the Dragon Quest I've been playing.
Well, hello, viewer. Welcome.
Like another exclusive game.
Right.
It's actually really fun, and like if you're a Dragon Quest fan, you would especially be into it. But it's not Dragon Quest.
That was that same conference where they showed Dragon Quest Heroes and it was like, oh my god, it's a Russo game. Oh shit! It's like,
Like big and high, and then like pulled you up and then just dropped.
That seems
not since Final Fantasy VII is coming to PS4.
Oh my god.
That's kind of like how you deploy the shoot on franchises you need to keep fresh, right? Like the same thing with Hyrule Warriors.
Give them to fucking Omega Force.
Yeah, same thing with Zelda. It's just like turn that into a Dynasty Warriors. We don't have time to put out a game right now.
Well, there's that, and there's the Type 0 that's coming out too, Final Fantasy. Which is kind of sort of a real Final Fantasy. I mean, it's not a numbered, entry, but
Because that was mobile originally, like pre.
Is that what was originally like Agito 13? Isn't that what that
way
was?
back in the day. But then
Holy shit.
then it turned into a PSP game that's
Yeah,
actually
right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I
Now it's a remake of that.
I think the thing that PS4 sales or lack thereof tells you about Japan now is like, PS2 and PS3 really weren't like super strong launch lineups either, but it was just like, well, I'm going to buy one of these eventually, so I might as well I'm going to buy it now. But that's kind of no longer the case. Now it is like, okay, prove it to me. Or like, I'll buy it once the game comes out.
Like
Oh shit! Someone a pet.
Puzzle and Dragon.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, heal.
Games don't
Okay.
do that this month. I don't know what else is going to. I don't see anything in the PS4 lineup outside Japan. I mean,
Right.
for within Japan that's going to actually make Japanese players want to play it.
Yeah,
There's
it's-
plenty of stuff here.
It's like I feel like Sony's first party has been.
Exactly. I feel like that's really
Emerald
not
Carbuncle.
a lot, but like Sony first party, especially when you look back, like I feel they have a really big problem
Bridge
still
to fall.
making these franchises that have like a higher that aren't bad but have like an opportunity cost. Like Little Big Planet, like having Media Molecule work on however many, like great idea. I don't think it ever really got pulled off, but then it was like then the sequel didn't pull it off, and then they're making another one, and like now they're making another Tearaway game, which is like even if it's not always just Media Molecule, but like these properties or Resistance or Killzone or these games that they end up making 3 and 4 of, or some for different platforms.
It's like stuff that like there's like a diehard Sony fan base that like identifies with that stuff, but like if you go wider than that, people are like, what?
And
Zone?
yeah,
No, I'm cool.
And it's not that they're bad games, but I mean,
Yeah.
at that level, you need to be making like Crash Bandicoots and Gran Turismos and
Right.
like things that are going to hit in all three territories really big.
It's the sort of thing, like, I feel like, like 2 days after the order came out, like, Polyphony Digital got a phone call and saying, like, you need to fucking step it up. We need a game.
Let's go, yeah. But I want them to be making those, and these are really talented teams too. Almost all of them. And again, these are not like bad games, and they definitely have their fans. But like the opportunity cost of what those teams and like those resources, I feel like could be going towards, where they really do need that like the next generation hits, because like even Gran Turismo, which was such a huge moving force now these days, is almost like an afterthought.
All
Like,
right,
people
back
don't
to
really
the.
talk about it.
Oh wait! There's a hunting thing. Oh
Also,
boy.
which would be big in all three territories, and like a lot of things that are kind of like long in the tooth now. But PS1 and PS2 era, they were really just like nailing it.
Well, you can kind of tell that PS4 was conceived in the West this time, right? This is the first time that's happened, and it sort of seems like they caught Japan off guard because Japan didn't have like anything ready, and there's still Hot Shots is still not out. I mean, they're working on it. But,
Right.
That would have been a launch game in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there? I mean, this is almost a rhetorical question, but do you think there's any hope for the Xbox One in Japan at this point? Just a smirk.
Yeah.
I had to ask it.
Glance.
Yeah.
Like no.
Yeah.
No, and I don't even know if they're trying really. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while.
It seems like they didn't even go into the territory.
It's more like just another territory to like check off your list, right?
Have to be there because otherwise, what we can't go court Japanese developers if they can't buy their own games.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and I talk about Destiny and Destiny doing well, is like the one thing that I think they could have done is like, hey, Halo guys who
Okay. So
in
turn.
Japan, especially for a Western game, it's like, hey, Halo fans, you're gonna at least get the new Halo and
Oh.
and then Sony said it's exclusive. It's
Oh, big stretch.
PS4 and PS3.
PS4,
Woo.
right. So Sony exclusive in Japan. So I feel like they took even that small, hardcore, dedicated fan base to some degree, and there hasn't been like the new Halo yet, but I've seen like Evolve ads in Japan are like Xbox branded, so they're like helping out with that, but I don't see them like being aggressive at all in Japan, even compared to like how they were with the 360.
Okay, so
I felt like they were actually making some moves.
to the Arcanist Guild.
They had a better hand and played it, and it didn't go their way. Like, there's no reason to think that at some point you're flushing money down.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
they were on top of the world over here back then, and
Yeah.
they still couldn't get it done.
Right, and there was with Xbox, original Xbox, there was a huge like thought within Microsoft is, there was that famous quote, it's like you have to succeed in Japan, which actually you don't, and then so like in Xbox 360 it was like, maybe you don't, and then now Xbox One
I'm
is
so
like,
close to.
not even Japan. Yeah, it's like China, like third tier territory.
When they designed the Xbox 360, like that first white version, like they actually
Near
designed
the
it with
Maelstrom
the hope of making
people.
it somewhat appealing to Japan, and you could
Is that
tell they
the
didn't even try.
Aft castle?
The
Yeah.
big lunky
Big
black box,
Yeah,
funky
like
box.
1983 or something.
I remember the Inhale.
Yeah, the famous Inhale.
Very stylish.
And then how do you guys, I mean, just a little quick 5-minute wrap up before the next break. How do you guys feel about the state of Nintendo hardware over there?
Well, the 3DS is kicking a lot of ass.
Yeah.
The new one.
What percentage of that is Monster Hunter related? Like how much of its success is because it's the Monster Hunter platform?
I don't think I would credit it to Monster Hunter. I mean, Monster Hunter is like the nice. It's a very expensive, very heavy feather in the cap, but I mean, they had Animal Crossing. They had like some giant franchises selling millions of copies before Monster Hunter.
I just think about it in terms of just like, it seemed like when Monster Hunter was on the PSP, that was the thing
Yeah,
that made
no,
the PSP matter.
Yeah,
So
like the
it's still-
Kingmaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was definitely, I think, a huge. I mean, Vita actually does okay in Japan, which is crazy. But like, if it would have had Monster Hunter, it would be a whole different. I do think it would be a whole different story, because it's Monster Hunter is the game, is like the, maybe not the game that you buy your 3DS for, although hardware does spike for that. But it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get it for that, and yeah, like you're saying, Animal Crossing or Fire Emblem or Dragon Quest, or like there are a lot of series games that are still really huge there on that. But
Alright.
yeah, like Wii U is doing okay.
Back
I mean,
to the
not-
Conjurers
not
Guild.
It's kind of the same everywhere.
huge. huge anywhere, but it's like now there's
Arcanus, God damn it.
do sell your Mario Karts and your Mario 3D worlds and stuff like that. And you do see advertising. You see them advertising domestically quite a bit. Probably, I would say the most ads that I see of a console game around at the stations or on TV are Nintendo products.
I think new 3DS is doing pretty okay too. Actually, I want to ask you guys. This could really be all of you. I was having an argument last night with someone, but basically,
Wild
do you
dodos.
see 3DS as like the successor to 3DS, or do you see it more?
It's like the Game Boy Color. It's like the DSi. To me.
DSi, right?
Okay, before I do this, I need to go to the bathroom real quick, so I'm just going to pause this
Okay, because I've argued
podcast real quick, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'll be back. Alrighty, we are back. Let's get this going again.
You need new branding on it.
Oh, whoops.
There are no games that require it. It's the worst,
There's like one. There's one game
that's
announced
not out.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
You can't view it that way.
What is up? Was there ever like definitive answer about why
There
the
we are.
smaller new 3DS never came out?
They put out a statement a week or two ago that was complete, like
I saw that.
like a spin and nothing.
But I feel like
it was just
the word was that like this territory, by and large, only wanted the big one, and so they just said, "Well, here you go."
Right.
I mean, I think
Rather than have to ship, 2 SKUs.
but the numbers even in Japan bore that out. Like the XL even in Japan outsold the regular like more than 2 to 1. I think.
Did just crazy to me.
Which one?
yeah, to middle.
I got the smaller one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I would still get the bigger one.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. When I don't carry it in my pocket no matter what. So to me, like that, it fitting in your pocket doesn't really matter. But
that is nice.
But the
Oh my
base
God.
plates are
Can I hold it?
pretty badass.
My hands are clean, I promise.
That I think honestly, that's the one reason to be disappointed, and I think that people are kind of rightly kind of sad about it.
All these buttons are making me feel funny.
I spent some time over the weekend kind of cleaning up. I boxing up all my Xbox 360s, and along the way I found a bunch of face plates. You know what's fucking dumb? Fucking face plates.
I don't know, a lot of
I
people
grant you it's a portable thing, so more people will see it like an iPhone case or something like that, but still.
They're so nice.
In this amiibo world, Jeff, do you not think faceplates are a big deal? I still don't understand amiibo.
It's like Skylanders without the draw of like. Well, okay, Skylanders.
Why, hello there, viewer.
you know,
Welcome to my
like that stuff
to my
is
stream.
insidious because it's like the ultimate extension of on-disc DLC, right? It's like, but you have to go buy a physical fucking thing
Right.
to have it take up space in your life
Right.
to make it work. Amiibo is like that, but worse because the stuff it gives you sucks shit.
it barely does anything.
That's the part where
Oh, here we go, Spaghetti Swooty.
totally there's not the
Is it time for Labyrinth?
there yet, right? Which is so it's just
Fucking right. Here we go.
It's just like my friend group or something like that. But I see people, everybody talking about like lining up at Best
Yeah,
Buy.
that seems to be enough for a lot of people.
Oh shit, baby.
Crowd, and you can't
It is to Sandman. Yo. Shout out to you. Not much, man. Just doing some grind. That MMO grind. You know how it is. Or maybe you don't. I don't even know if you play MMOs.
Buy a Wii Fit trainer now, then 2 years from now when I can use her in a game.
It's a good thing you're not on that that grind.
This is all very frustrating. Yeah, I'm very frustrated right now. This 3DS is the shit. I really like it. This is like the perfect size. Like the screen, screen is a little bit bigger, but not that much bigger. It still retains the sharpness.
Also, just so you know, there's like a 30-second delay between what you type and the stream. So if I have a delayed response,
Is that Majora's Mask?
oh well.
Is that
Sorry, bruh.
Japan only one or like some weird
They
big
have it in
order?
Europe too. Well, obviously they don't have it in the US.
Yeah, but did you have to buy something in order to
No,
get
you
that?
just buy. You had to just buy it normally. They're hard to get.
Oh, and hello, other viewer.
Promotions lately where it's like,
Welcome to my stream. I just started Labyrinth as you joined, so.
Right, wasn't there a Majora's Mask something or other that you had to buy it?
Yeah. I think it was
Oh, do you? Yo, what MMOs do you play?
Something that was it. Yeah.
Or MMO?
Man, or something.
They're getting into that business, huh?
Good times.
It's like a Destiny shader.
Just closing down Club Nintendo. They got to figure out some kind of weird.
That's
thing to
true.
keep people-
Oh man, yo, that free
Did I say something else is coming?
MMO grind.
They did, yeah.
I played, oh man, the one I kind of got into, like the one sort of Japanese-esque,
They're now full platinum whatever award thing.
Japanese-esque like MMO I got into was Silk Road.
Yep.
That game was,
points you need to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
that game was pretty dope. I haven't touched it in like years, but man, back
So
back when I had
quick break.
no money and didn't want to pay for subscriptions and stuff, like before World of Warcraft basically, I played the shit out of Silk Road.
Back in the day, I was a real hot dog pro. I was a real Netscape communicator.
Oh, excuse me.
If you will. Building websites, navigated the seas. Yeah, I navigated them poorly.
Yeah.
These sites looked like garbage.
You ran aground.
Oh, I played Rift. Rift was good. Arcade, I don't think I played that.
You wouldn't say that you battened
But to be honest, I can't quite remember.
just could not be battened down.
Rift, though, I did play. I played that when it was like a subscription and free to play.
Pick up residents on
And like, there was no difference between the free to play and the subscription.
Into the waters because now there's Squarespace. Okay. Squarespace is simple and powerful and beautiful. You can use their templates, customize your own to build your own website. You can have stores and all sorts of stuff.
Let's target that.
You can do that with Squarespace.
like my line of custom embroidered sailor.
Well, there was an MMO called Perfect World, which ended up becoming like a company. Like, I don't know, it's really weird, dude. There's like a company called Perfect World, which is like,
Mail, it's $8 a month. You get
it's basically like, I think it's a Chinese company if I'm not mistaken.
and you can get
And it,
try a deal.
Hit me.
All right.
yeah, it like basically translates a lot of MMOs in English.
Giant bomb to get 10% off your first
Oh, I've probably seen it, but like, I don't remember playing it at all.
a decent deal. Ooh, okay.
Oh,
Squarespace
okay. Again, I think I've seen it, but I've not touched it.
I need
But I've definitely seen it for sure. I know what you're talking about now.
sites.
build a bunch of them.
Build a bunch of websites.
You know, it might be cheap, but is it seaworthy?
There's only one way to find out, and that's go to squarespace.com. Use that offer code, Giant Bomb.
Oh wow, no, it just hit me now. I know exactly what game you're talking about. Yeah, I did try that Arcade. Holy crap. Yeah, I tried playing. Well, I tried it, but I only tried it for like an hour or two. I don't know. I didn't get into it at all.
You guys, let's jump into the news. See what's going on in the world. All right. What do you say?
Yeah.
You guys mentioned the Valve stuff.
Yes.
A little bit briefly, but let's just dive right into that thing. Valve's still making a VR headset. Yep. Despite like some, I feel like there was some scuttlebutt. You know, they laid off some of their hardware people, and it seemed like there was some scuttlebutt that like, oh, their VR thing is kind of dying on the vine or whatever. But nope.
Well,
Yeah,
all their
it's
VR,
coming out.
All their VR people went to Oculus.
Right. There
as
was
well.
yeah.
And I thought that the story up until recently was that Valve was not going to be doing hardware.
Yeah.
They were very interested in VR and wanted VR to be a thing just for PC gaming in general. But I thought that they were like sharing all of their tech with
that they were going to
Oculus
like
and
back Oculus and just
Yeah.
like, you guys do it.
exactly. It was
Yeah.
like they were giving talks and stuff and supportive of it because they saw it as a huge new growth driver. But yeah, I know like a lot of their like top. Abrash went over there.
Yeah.
I feel like I kept hearing.
But yeah, no, I don't know. It took me a second to realize what you meant by arc age. I now remember that game. But yeah, this is kind of like my MMO of choice right now. It's hitting all those like. I don't know if did you ever play WoW? You ever play World of Warcraft? Because like I feel like that's an MMO that like almost everyone played at some point.
At Mobile World Congress, they announced
We're all good PC peripherals.
right, because this thing is so mobile, being tethered to not only a PC but like a
Oh,
separate
oh,
device.
ow.
that tracks your motion. Jeff, you would have me believe this is pronounced Viva. Is that correct?
Yeah, like or the Vive.
Or Vive?
Like
You said you watched a video.
Falls.
Is that what it is?
No, I was saying you should watch a video before we do this.
Oh,
Figure out how it's pronounced.
I didn't have time to watch a
Yeah.
video. So we don't know for sure.
I think I bet it's closer to Viva
Yeah?
and means like live life.
Yeah?
Whatever.
Maybe.
Viva Beyond.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you spell it?
V-I-V-E. Yeah.
No,
Revive, like revive.
no accent on the E.
Yeah. I immediately read it as Vive. Like, it sounds kind of like Vive.
Actually, no, wait.
Maybe?
Right, B's right in the middle.
That sounds corny as shit.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Yeah. It's just how it came off to me anyway. Yeah, HTC is making it. Valve has designed it.
Yeah. Okay. You know, this game does like.
Well, we can just hand this over to.
This game does like what WoW did to me. Like this is another MMO where I just like I could definitely get into it.
Demos. Have you guys ever seen?
No.
They're doing new ones here,
Yeah.
but they've had one.
Oh my god, no, don't kill the skeleton like right there. Are you crazy? Oh god.
It sounds like the most amazing shit.
It's pretty cool.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Really?
I did, yeah.
I kinda wanna see more of Arcade, but like I don't think I'd ever play it myself.
So,
But I definitely wanna like see it? I don't know.
You know, the old demos had.
Jesus, we are so
one part,
fucked.
and I know I can talk about you. It had one of the robots from Portal 2, like in front of you, and you're like, oh wow, that's really cool. And you're like looking around it, and it's all very detailed. It's like I think it was maybe the model from the cinematics or something like that. It was like very impressive, and then like Chet from Valve was giving the demo. I was like, okay, no, turn around. I turned around, and there's the same model is like 3 stories tall behind you, which you've seen it in God of War games, and like every game has like the mega huge giant boss thing, but like I think
Jesus.
thing on the first time to just try it because like you can imagine, and nothing was moving in these demos, it was just standing, but it was still like immediately your brain was like, oh shit, like your brain was like
It's crazy. This like
kind of
this game has so much content, both like
wow, look how big it is and how
in the early game and like the late game.
It was just like shit,
Like I remember when I hit level 50,
the part of your brain
like I've just caught up, and I've been spending like the last like 2 months sort of like catching up on all this late game content I never played before.
screws with your brain and hits like your
So it's pretty crazy. It's like it's hitting all those like MMO,
and they were very
you know,
together and very just
those MMO feels where all you want to do is just play this game.
the stuff they're going to be showing here at GDC is going to be much more
Get out of there.
obvious it's the real thing. They said it's going on sale this year, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I missed that detail.
Dev kits in the spring and then retail in the holiday. That's,
Which is-
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That is soon. So I think we're
Yeah.
going to start to see some real stuff like what you're talking about like, okay, well, what is the stuff you can actually expect to be playing on this? But even in those demos, I've been a pretty avowed VR skeptic just because of people putting the thing on and not, disappearing from the world for like a half an hour, even a half hour.
Or even just, like it takes putting one on to understand that it's something you should care about.
Exactly,
You know,
right?
It's like, how do you get that into a retail environment? Like, how
Exactly.
do you do that? Yeah, everyone's gonna be
Holy
like,
fuck!
we're all-
That skeleton just like sprinted.
The bowling thing, you could just see somebody doing it, and it's like, oh, okay. Now
Jesus.
I see why it's fun.
Yeah.
I get it. Whereas here, even somebody describing it, it's like, well, but you look like an idiot while you're doing it. You don't look like you're doing anything normal and natural. So
I think at that point they have to depend on the experience being so amazing
yeah.
that it just gets people talking
Yeah.
and gets the word of mouth going,
How about
regardless
I
of how.
take it over to your house and you get all your friends in a living room, and then I like give it to a couple people and then they go out.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
It's
But
like
I feel like I've done that with an Oculus kit of just like, okay, everyone needs to come over here and ride this roller coaster.
Yeah.
I'll have some friends over and,
Yep.
and they'll try it out and be like, that's fucking incredible. But
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
VR is the man.
All that thing has so far to go though, compared to like even what Valve's talking about here is it's like so much more complicated than the original Oculus kit because they're saying this thing will ship with 2 wireless controllers that allow you to
Holy
like,
fuck.
do
Oh my
things in environments like
god.
they're not,
I just want to beat this dungeon.
and sub-control.
no, don't say that.
In a warehouse, the warehouse is full of them.
Okay, I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
Razor blade to the Sony
I am fucked.
off right now. That's what's been
Holy shit, I'm not dead.
Yeah,
I'm not dead.
Going into a lot of detail about what the controllers are going to be at this point, but the headset itself also has a lot of tracking.
Petrified.
That will allow you to kind of move around in the 3D space.
Oh, that looks cool.
Kind of thing. And yeah, I don't think
Oh.
there's no reason to believe that Oculus isn't also working on this stuff. You know, it seems like this market is pretty competitive. But
everyone, I think, understands what the problems are,
Yeah.
or what they can achieve with technology like this. It's just, you know, how do you tackle it? Is it sensors on the headset
Yeah.
that can detect the walls? Is it a camera that's pointed at the headset, detecting how the headset is moving?
Yeah.
Like those, gyroscopes. Like everyone kind of understands what needs to be done.
It's who's going to solve it the best and who's going to solve it the fastest.
yeah, there's definitely like a good old-fashioned land grab going on here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody's racing to be the one that just blows up.
Yep.
So far, there's Oculus, Valve, Morpheus,
Morpheus,
and
yeah.
then the other
Samsung.
one.
Yeah, Samsung Gear VR.
Yeah.
And then
Isn't
Microsoft
Gear
has
VR
its
just
HoloLens.
Oculus though?
What's that?
Isn't Gear VR just powered by Oculus?
Oh, it's actually.
Yeah, I think it was in collaboration.
It's basically
Yeah.
just those
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I forgot Microsoft's got the HoloLens stuff going. Like everybody just trying to stake claim. And
So is that their play for the? Is that
I wonder if they will have a separate. I mean, I think if HoloLens doesn't seem like it'll do VR the same way this other stuff does.
Right.
So if this stuff gains a foothold, that they're going to have something.
Right.
Whether it's like, hey, we decided to build support for the HTC kit or the Oculus, or whatever route they take. Like they'll have to have an answer.
Right.
Just for the sake of developers that want to put their games out everywhere.
And have they put a timeline at all on HoloLens? I didn't think they did. It seems very cool to me, but it
It
also
seems like something that they
far
might
off.
not, it's just like, hey, it's like how Morpheus was at GDC last year. Like Sony would freely say, like, this is a thing we're making. Like, it doesn't have a release date. We might not put it out.
Yeah, Microsoft has a history of doing that. If you remember that, like basically a coffee table that was a giant touchscreen that they showed. Yeah, like the original Surface.
That came out.
I know it's out now.
enterprise
Yeah,
forms.
sure. But they have a history showing this stuff way before it's ready.
Yeah, they showed the dude who's like the main guy behind it was the main guy originally behind Kinect or whatever, like 8 years ago, and he's been working on it since Kinect or whatever.
Right.
So like he's been locked in that room, like who knows?
They let him out of the room and said, like, so VR got big.
Right.
And he's like, fuck.
See you in 8 years. Yeah. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, they're out there making deals with like Lionsgate and kind of movie companies to get content on this thing. So they're definitely thinking a lot bigger than games. And they've been building the Steam store out in those directions.
I will say the Valve tech was super. Like we got an Oculus, we got the first one, and John got the second one, and I thought the first one was kind of cool, but I wouldn't wear it for any amount of time at all. And then the second one was like better. The Valve tech at the time, and this was when I saw it, it was a while ago now, but it was by far the best that I'd seen. But
Just in terms of how it looks.
just in terms of how fast everything, the resolution and how fast things were refreshing and everything. And like bear in mind, these demos were all very simple, but they were, it wasn't like you were being lowered in a Shark Tank and anything. It was like, oh, it's supposed to be exciting. It was like, here is a room made of like web pages of like, they're not even trying. The textures are just whatever they threw up, but the refresh rate and everything is so quick that it was really, really impressive. Like it was really just cool to walk around a room that was the same basic shape as the room that the demo was in, except it was like outfitted with pipes and stuff like that. That simple act, like I think you're going to see a lot of experiences like that are just like, and Valve even talked about that, how they want to don't just make a first-person shooter and then now have it in VR. That's going to be a terrible game. But like you need a game, same with mobile, that's designed kind of from the ground up. And a lot of them might just be like.
Oh, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze.
But anyway.
Okay, no, I'm good.
they had really impressive tech, so I'm very curious to see their new demos, and presumably this is
Okay, we'll go for another
advanced VR
half hour or so.
technology,
Yeah,
now
it's-
that like it's something you've seen 3 months ago, it's like, oh, that old shit, like we've got way better than that now. So
Yeah, it's interesting to see them come out and just announce, like, you know, here are the specs. Here's what's going to ship this fall as a product that you should buy. You know, like
I feel like, yeah, like all of Oculus's talk has been like, here's where we're at right now.
Right.
It's always getting better, but this is where we're at.
like Oculus
today.
has repeatedly like kind of pulled the curtain back on like, yeah, what we've got now, but
Yeah.
they keep stressing like this is not what the final consumer thing is going to be. But then, you
Right.
know, what Valve is talking about is, you know, like they're naming, you know, the resolution and refresh rate on their thing and talking about what it does, and like that's what's going to be in stores.
So do they talk about how it works? Like, how is it motion tracking?
lasers, and then these like
Yeah.
15 by 15 these positional things you set up
Trackers,
to
yeah.
track the unit.
Sounded like you need 2 of them, yeah, to get that full 15 by 15 space.
It sounded like it'll come with these base stations.
Yeah.
Steam
Yeah.
VR base station.
Right, and these 2 controllers, like this sounds like a pretty pricey thing.
All of it sounds pretty pricey.
Right, but when you add in extra controllers and these other things, you know, like the Oculus is just
Yeah.
a headset.
But it's at some point that depends on, you know, well, then they've got these content makers that need penetration for this thing.
Yeah.
So you start to get to that point where, like, well, we need to sell it at a loss and get it out there so that you know, people do this stuff.
Sure.
Valve can afford it.
Yep.
So can Oculus.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
HTC and Facebook, also large companies.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
probably in it for the long haul.
Like, if anything, like you look at Sony and be like, Sony's the one that might not have the money to you know get that thing out there in a big mainstream way,
Right.
Or something. I don't know.
Interesting times we're living in.
It is interesting. Like the one thing, as much as it is like a race and competition, I think is gonna drive this. The one thing in talking with different people doing stuff in VR that are gonna set up to be competitors is that one thing they do all seem to really actually believe that like whoever comes out first or whatever, they think it's very important that it succeeds even if it's not them, because they know, and I think they're right, that you get one chance for people to put a headset on, and it's not going to be like, oh, well, I tried the Valve one and I didn't like it, or I tried the Sony one and it wasn't good, or whatever. It was like, I put the big thing on my head and it wasn't cool, and that's what I tell
And I'm never
my
buying
friends.
one ever.
Yeah,
Right,
and it's just
yeah.
it doesn't matter like a year from now or 2 years from now. They just think that's what
Ugh.
it is.
That basically is what happened in the 90s, right? Like if none of it was ready, it was a bunch of
You
subpar
could argue
experiences.
that, I
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, but
like the idea of
but
virtual
also
reality.
none of it was ready.
Well, no, but also like the idea of virtual reality in general just became like a stigmatized joke after that. You know,
People
like,
thought Dactyl Nightmare was as good as
Right,
that
yeah.
it was going to get.
Right.
That, I mean, I remember seeing some demo in like, I don't know, like 92, 93 or something like that. It was a tank game. Going into someone's office and sitting down. They're like, we got this VR tank thing. You sit down. And it was pretty awesome. You're like, oh, this is, I can look around and shoot this tank.
Right.
And then a guy on a computer, like across from the tank, he had just downloaded Wolfenstein 3D. And we like, everyone, even the people that worked at that company, we just spent the rest of the time going like, that looks fucking awesome. And no one talked about the tank thing ever again.
yeah.
That's VR to me.
Right. And then you know the virtual boy happened. And
Well, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
the rest
Man,
was history.
Like that's, I mean, you know, we're talking about getting a bad rap. It's not even VR,
Right.
But it still got attached to. I was just dusting off my virtual boy.
To be honest, that is, I do still have memories. I don't know how much you've played your Virtual Boy, but like, if you're in that thing for 5 minutes, it's like coming up from an hour of scuba diving.
Yeah,
When you
it's
come out, you're just like, like
Yeah.
back into the real world. Your eyes like have to readjust because all they've been seeing is red and stuff. You feel like weird and out of
like
it.
you've been through an ordeal.
Yeah.
And you got to tell someone about it, but not like, hey, look at this amazing game. It's
Right.
like, you're never gonna believe what happened to me. It was the worst.
I've seen some shit.
Yeah, that thing. Fuck.
Yep. Yep.
Did you see someone ported like Street Fighter 2 Turbo to it like recently?
No way.
Like a pretty good
Virtual
version of
Boy?
it. Yeah.
Do
So
they
it's like,
have?
How do you play it though?
Yeah. Do they have a thing you can hook up to like the port?
they're
from
making,
the
yeah. Well, I
USB?
guess they're making like reproduction cartridges for it or something
Oh,
like that. I'm
man.
not sure, but I saw some video of it. Like someone had gotten one of the cartridges,
Yeah.
and you could walk between Dhalsim's elephants. Man, it's in fucking 3D.
What?
That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
And when you get to the sides of the stage, one elephant's in front of you, one's behind, and it's all in 3D.
Did they Did they find a way to repurpose like the
I
sprites?
think they
or-
just ripped all the sprites out and
Okay.
recoded it from the ground up, or I don't know what they did, but there's videos on YouTube of people running it. It's ridiculous.
I will say I really like Mario Flash. Legitimately,
Yeah.
think that's a good game. It's a lot of fun, and it's hard as hell to play that for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like anything on that system.
Remember Teleroboxer was the big
Oh yeah.
like E3 thing. Just
Yep.
like, oh, yep, okay, robot punch out. These fists are coming at me. Sold.
Yep.
So Valve needs a killer app for
Yeah.
their thing. If
Yeah.
you can Red Alarm.
Yeah, Red Alarm
There
2.
you go.
It's about time. Was that T&E Soft did that, I think.
Are they invested enough, or is there ever a world where Valve would tie in like one of their properties, or coincide the timing with Steambox?
I feel like that there is one product that would do very well to sell VR headsets for
I
Valve.
wonder, yeah. Like, can you imagine? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Legitimizing something literally like overnight. They could do it.
The question
How do
is,
they legitimize Steam?
are they ballsy enough to say this is the only way you can play this game?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's on the PC. Somebody will hack it apart and find a way to make it run anyway. But
Or even like Half-Life Gaiden side story, like
Yeah.
look at
the
that,
dog
that
story
Japanese
or
arcade
something.
game, right?
exactly.
Machine
There you
Man's
go.
Quest.
Yeah. Or like some Portal offshoot, or like you're one of the orbs or something in Portal. I don't know, anything would to some degree, but like, can you imagine them really like treating their box like it's a real system?
Yeah.
They're gonna pull out the gun. They're gonna pull out their Mario
Yeah, I mean-
launch game or something. That would be amazing.
I mean, obviously, they've got a lot invested in this, so I wouldn't necessarily discount that happening. I'm just happy to see one of these products coming to market in what they are saying is a final form.
Right.
Yeah. Finally, the rubber is going to meet the road on some of this stuff. and
Right.
They're going to have to put out some software to support it to make anybody care. A lot of stuff happening in the world of games business. It's GDC week. It's not surprising, but also, as you guys mentioned earlier, the Unreal Engine is now free.
Yeah.
Free to use.
They had already made it pretty cheap at some point.
Yeah, it was like
Subscription
it was like
stuff.
$50 a month or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, I think that was that last GDC
Like
they
that?
announced that. That
Yeah.
was a big deal. There's definitely
Yeah.
an arms race going on there.
Yeah.
Is
Absolutely.
there an ambassador program for everybody?
Actually, there
They
is.
said they're prorating people that subscribe to this year.
Oh no
yeah,
shit!
you get like credit on their store.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's entirely a royalties based model now.
Yeah, over $3,000, 5%.
Yeah, I think that's right. Scale.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly
Is
right.
that, I don't know the Unity terms at this point. Does that kind of match their stuff? You don't know?
I know I heard some people saying like, oh, well, Unity's going to have to respond to this or something. So there must be some reason to do. I know maybe Unity takes it from $1, or maybe the percentage is bigger than 5% or something.
And Unity's got a big push going on with Unity 5 right now, right?
Yeah.
They do.
It's kind of heating up in that market. Like
Higher than 4.
obviously, it's like a whole number higher.
Yeah.
I would
Why
hope
would
so.
I use Unreal Engine 4? Except that now they're on Unreal Engine 4.7
I know, right?
or
Whoa.
something, which is like a really crazy.
That was fast.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's all good, man. Take it easy. I'll check out your stuff. Oh Jesus, I'm fucked. I'm dead. I'll check you out next time you're on. Because I don't really watch Twitch too much, but I feel like I'm going to start watching Twitch a little more. So take it easy, man. Oh Jesus.
It's like
EA's like spent all their money on Frostbite.
Yeah, EA's on Frostbite. Like Ubisoft has a couple of in-house engines that they use. Like even like Bethesda, they bought id and they have id Tech. Like everybody is kind of.
Like Warner still works in Unreal.
Yeah.
But like MKX is in Unreal Engine 3.
Right.
Just heavily modified with their stuff.
So the only major publishers, this was a few months ago, but the only major publishers on the list announced for games were like Microsoft's doing Fable Legends on Unreal, and some of the Square Enix stuff because I think they did like Deus Ex on there.
Street Fighter 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's
right.
So there's a handful here and there, but like if you look at the giant table they have
Right,
of
it's
announced
not-
UE4 games, they're
It's like
all
all
like
super small.
They're all indie, like small team. Like they're absolutely going.
That's the market. Now.
Yeah, they're going after
You
the
know,
Unity market. Absolutely.
like like Unity grabbed all those people. All the small games and the big guys aren't looking for an engine anymore. So
Right.
like Unreal in some sense, they have to do this to be relevant.
Yeah.
So
Why would the big boys be going that way? As you figure, it's just getting more and more crazy expensive.
I have to imagine that with like the horror stories I've heard out of EA getting Frostbite running right, like practical and shippable, right? I guess.
Right.
That they probably have spent more on fucking Frostbite than they would have in Unreal, like licensing.
Yeah, but if you're a business guy, look at it, like as a giant upfront investment that will fall off dramatically over the course of the generation,
But
right?
I
Like if you
just
perfect your,
wonder if like that bet was well placed.
it may not have been.
Games launching on Frostbite still seem fucked up.
Right. It may be a gamble that they lose, but at least if they go for it and it works, then like your tech matures in 2 or 3 years, and then you're not paying epic money for the entirety of this
It's
generation.
just weird that they didn't, like when they
What the fuck?
picked up Criterion and had Renderware come in house to EA, like they
My light is going weird.
but like didn't necessarily keep that going as directly as you might have thought they would.
Yeah.
Where's the id Tech games? Where's all those coming?
I mean,
Where's their indie initiative?
there was Enemy Within,
Wet 2 is
or Evil Within. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wet 2. They did, like I've brought this up a couple times before, but they got the kind of head graphics guy from Crytek came over to id.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I've seen like Bethesda PR has tweeted about him doing a bunch of amazing stuff. And of course they would, but I don't disbelieve it or anything. But they seem to be still like trying to keep id going as a major like tech player
Right.
there.
They need Doom or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you wonder if like they are working on new engine tech that would be adaptable to an open world,
Right.
Like a Fallout 4,
Sure,
Skyrim,
yeah.
like an Elder Scrolls game or something like that.
That would be so cool.
But it would be such a completely different thing at that point. Like it's not, it's not Tech 6 in the way that you think about it.
Sure.
Tech 5. It's,
Sure. But anything getting them off of what they've been on, as far as like
Oh sure.
the way those games aren't the best looking games ever
Yeah.
by a long shot.
Yes, I mean if those games, if like the Bethesda Game Studios games, and if those games launch less broken, and they should.
Yes,
Because sometimes they're pretty fucked up.
I agree with you. Sometimes it's fun, but sometimes it's just a bummer. Gosh, what else is going on? I guess that's kind of it for like big GDC announcements so far, right? Like I expect most of the news to break like 5 minutes after the podcast goes up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Valve's got an announcement
Yeah.
on March 3rd.
Yep. Do they?
Third month, third day.
Oh, well, that's just a panel.
Yeah. So there's a Valve session on physics that is happening 3 p.m.
Shut the fuck up.
And so people looked at the schedule and were like, well, fuck, obviously this is
Yeah.
going to be where they're going to
Of course.
do their Half-Life 3 thing.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you were some physics programmer that spent all your money on a GDC pass, and you go to this workshop and it's just a fucking smoke screen for a Half-Life 3 announcement. You'd be pissed.
Like the fucking pyro goes off and like,
You're like, I came here to learn about fucking physics.
Right.
Not your...
although if they were going to unveil Half-Life 3 in this thing, I would love it so much if it was just like in the corner of a slide and they don't even say the
guy that
words.
says, like, well, if you look at the work we're doing in Half-Life 3, the physics...
Okay, holy fuck, people, get me out of this claw!
Here's some
soft
test
launch.
renders we did,
Right. Yep.
prototype level.
That's the only way to do that.
Are they showing their final controller?
They are. It is
Yes.
here.
Yeah, they did say they had finished.
Bah.
Have you guys heard anything?
No. All I heard, well, I mean, the last thing that was going around was that they'd gotten away from that weird like dual touchpad.
Oh, really?
design.
Oh, they did.
Okay. Yeah.
But they've gotten rid of one of them and replaced it with like the
is that what it was?
right stick, like the look stick would still be that pad, but
Okay.
I could be wrong.
That would make sense. That would be kind of like a trackball type thing.
Yeah. I feel like they tried everything.
What
Yeah.
did you guys think of the old? I guess now it's the old one, but the one that they were showing with the dual.
It's like an interesting idea that just didn't. It seemed like a solution for a problem that didn't actually exist.
Right.
It's like I guess like there's the edge cases like, well, I want to play Civ on a TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, but
We've actually
too
got.
bad.
I've
Like
got one of those in my drawer downstairs, and we've never messed with it.
Really?
Mary Kish from GameSpot let us borrow it, which I'm mostly saying out loud so that I don't forget that we need to give it back at some point. But
I think it was last GDC they had some where I tried it, and they had Strider or something, and I was trying to play it and could not. I mean, it was just a 2D, just trying to jump and attack and I just couldn't get it. It just felt weird and foreign and alien to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that could be fixed with like tweaking software, or if that's something that requires like different hardware. But it seemed like to be an exception. It seemed like there was a lot of people who were like, no, it's fine. The Super Meat Boy guy, I know it's like, no, it's fine. But I had a real problem with it.
it's nice to see him willing to throw out significant
yeah,
work that they don't think is viable anymore.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I like to see people trying new, different stuff because it's been pretty much evolution, pretty directly evolutionary since like I don't know N64
Yeah.
controller.
But at the same time, if you look at just the types of games that are coming out on Steam these days and kind of the controllers they're expecting to be present, you know, console ports or whatever, like, you know, it's 2 analog sticks, it's D-pad, it's, you know, the buttons for, you know, triggers, analog triggers, you know, like it's an Xbox 360 controller.
Right.
You know? So it's like Valve in some cases would be better served by making a really good controller that maps directly to that, and then also having their mouse replacement thing for people that want to do something crazy.
Right.
You know, like there's not going to be any kind of one size fits all when it comes to
That's
like,
definitely
controllers
true,
for PC gaming. So you know, like I just don't think that any kind of touchpad and solution that Valve's come up with is actually going to like be perfect for everything.
Sure. And it's not like you can't use your PS4 controller. Or
Right. Yeah.
That's gotten a lot better recently.
Yeah,
I know I'm like, I've been listening to you guys recently talk about that, and I think I'm ready to go back because right when Dark Souls 2 came out, trying to get your Xbox One or PS4 controller working wirelessly,
Fucking nightmare.
what a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And like I was on these programming forums trying to figure out exactly. I was like, man, why am I getting back into PC gaming? Like this is exactly what I was afraid of. But now, I guess it actually is back to the just plug and play.
Yeah, it's really close to
That DS4 Windows thing has gotten so good.
I mean, I loved being able to like customize the, you know, what the light on the
I just sit there.
is doing.
I just sit there with the RGB slider, just playing with the colors.
Pretty awesome, and
I
like
think it's fun.
low battery. You can make it flash or something.
Yeah, you can make it. I think you can make it like flash a rainbow when the battery is low. Whatever stupid shit. All right, Mark and John, I'm going to give you a choice. I know you guys have meetings you need to get to,
Yes.
but some of these stories coming up,
Okay.
man.
Really?
Toe Jam and Earl,
Wait, are you bringing this up because I
that time.
hate Toe Jam and Earl?
Clay Fighter.
You're trying to get us to leave.
No, I'm just saying.
Bad Mr. Frosty. Not
Blue
talking
Suede Goo will
about
be
Bad
in
Mr.
the new Clay Fighter. They have
That's a
confirmed.
stretch goal, I think.
Some real hot bangers on the news here. I just thought I'd let you know that you're welcome to hang around and chat.
What we're going to be missing, I think as much as we would love to stay and discuss that stuff, I think we do have to go.
Okay.
But, thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming through.
We are huge fans. Thank you for hosting. Also, as always, the April Fool's
Oh, no.
Because I'm not kidding. Like anybody who has heard of us and all the interns and people that we get are always through giant.
No, we're
so
happy to put that thing up.
Yeah.
When Patrick left and he approached me about continuing to post it,
we were afraid. We were like, I
was
don't
like-
know. Will somebody else post it? I
I was
don't
like,
know.
oh fuck, I got another thing I have to worry about every week. But then I looked at what was required, and it's like 90 seconds of work.
Good.
Putting that thing up is so easy.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, I'm super happy to do it.
You guys have an excellent show.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
You
totally.
guys too, and
Totally.
and have an awesome PAX. I'm very excited to be watching. I'll be watching the panel later. So
Excellent.
cool. There, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have those guys as always.
Yeah, awesome.
So let's get back into that news.
Yeah.
The
The
rest
rest.
because it's not going to read itself. I saved all the best stuff for after they left.
Smart.
Like I said, Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
They launched a Kickstarter. The guys who made the first one.
Is it guys or just? I think it's just one guy. I think it's just Greg Johnson, not Mark. Name is.
I turned to you earlier and asked how much you knew about this, and it sounded like enough that I was able to just write Toe Jam and Earl back in the groove in this document, and that's all I put in. So tell me about it.
It looks like that they are looking to make a game. There's a team in place. They're kind of listing people that are working on it. So Greg Johnston they did Doki Doki Universe for PS4
That's right. And
and Vita and and it kind of went around all that stuff. And you look at it, and like you can kind of tell, like it's got that Toe Jam and Earl vibe to it in a really weird way. It's
certainly not in.
No, not in gameplay or anything like that, but you know, like the look of it, like there are things about it. You go,
You can tell it came
kinda
from the same place.
So yeah, it looks like that some of those people maybe, or maybe a new crew are going to get together and try to make a new Toe Jam and Earl based heavily on the first game,
Yes.
the one that matters.
Which there was a second one, and that was on Genesis, right?
Yeah.
What was the thing that people hated about that?
It was a side scroller.
Yeah.
Instead of the first one,
Yeah,
just
it had none of the roguelike tendencies of the first game, the random presence, like all that. You know, it was just like you were going around searching through everything like it was impossible mission, but it was a flat side scroller where you're looking for humans. And then they jump out and you zap them or throw them in a jar. I forget what it is, but it just seemed like such a departure from the first game. Like I just didn't like anything about it. I thought the visual style was straight whack.
Oh.
Yeah, it was straight up whack.
A
you know
word?
what I'm saying? That was some straight up bullshit.
That was Panic on Funkatron.
Yes, Panic on Funkatron.
Okay. See, the only one I played is the Minister, like the one in the 6
Ready,
pack.
Aim, Tomatoes.
That's the one, yeah.
See, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with Ready, Aim, Tomatoes.
That wasn't that could not have been a standalone release.
It came
No,
in a
it was-
6-pack.
It was a 6-pack. It was the cartridge that came with the Genesis light gun.
Yes.
Menacer.
Okay, so it was like a minigame collection type thing.
Yeah. That was the one worthwhile thing on the cartridge, if I
Yes.
remember right. Miles Ready, Aim, Tomatoes. And then they went on to make Toe Jam and Earl 3, which was, let's just not even talk about it. Let's just not talk about
Okay, let's not.
anything past the first Toe Jam and
Let's
Earl.
talk about the new one, which appears to be emulating the first Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah, so it's like they're going for like a top-down.
Yeah, same overhead.
isometric.
Yeah, that kind of like floating island look seems to be in some of the screenshots and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Like you read some of it, they're like, maybe we'll put some of the elements of the second game in here too. I don't know what the fuck that means. They're also saying you'll be able to pilot the ship once you complete it.
Is it Minister compatible?
That's a great question for them.
Stretch goal.
I don't know if it made its number. Or
I think I saw that it was about halfway there, halfway to the 400K. They'll probably make it. They've got momentum and they've got good progress.
yeah, I don't know. I really like Toe Jam and Earl. But that genre, the kind of games, and it's a perfect time for it to come back because of, the roguelike tendencies of the original Toe Jam and Earl are very much in vogue now. Kind of the randomly generated stuff, the kind of like, the replayability of like, you don't know what these presents are going to be each time the game starts, like which one is the bonus points and which one's a total bummer, and, all that sort of stuff. It's very much in vogue right now. So I think it makes like the time is right for that game to exist. But so many other games with those qualities have come along over the past couple of years that I just wonder if it'll stick. Also, their sensibilities of hip hop and kind of like what makes sense for these characters. If you look at that last Toe Jam and Earl game, it's fucking terrible.
Let's just say that let's just say their sensibilities have not evolved alongside hip hop itself.
Well, so like Toe Jam and Earl had that stuff, but it was in. Maybe it was the result of the limitation of the Genesis. They could only do so much with like the music and like the 90s zigzag patterns, and it wasn't so much like straight up hip hop only.
Right.
It was like this weird cartoony version of that. And I think as like Toe Jam and Earl 3, they tried to make it like realer.
There was more speech, the music became more CD quality, and it was the sort of stuff like they have a song on their Kickstarter page that's like, hey, we recorded a new song and we got these guys to play Toe Jam and Earl, and you listen to it and you're like, I don't fucking want to hear that.
Nice.
And that's maybe the problem. I feel like, not that I'm saying like, hey, they need to be up to date with contemporary hip hop, because that's not gonna make that game any better if it's just like, we made Toe Jam sort of like Drake. And Earl is like is like E40. Actually, I take it back. God damn it. If it was just Kendrick Lamar and E40 playing Toe Jam and Earl.
All right.
If it was just E40 playing both Toe Jam and Earl.
What you're saying is you really like E40.
E40 would be a great addition to this game because he talks like he's from space all the time anyway.
Well, maybe they can make a stretch goal.
Is there a place for Riff
No.
No?
You know what?
I was thinking I had a
He
big
could be walking around in a carrot suit.
No, Riff Raff.
Riff can identify presents.
Here's what Riff Raff can do. He can get a tattoo of Toe Jam and Earl. And that's it.
That sounds like something we would do.
Yep.
Yeah, to commemorate his time with you playing Toe Jam and Earl.
That's true.
I feel like there was Riff Raff. He was so close. I feel like just there was some weird, like a missed window, some missed opportunities with Riff Raff around his album coming out. That like now it's like weird.
The Neon Icon one?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a pretty solid album. I've been thinking a lot of this morning on the drive-in. I spent a long time thinking about Riff Raff.
He's weighing in at a Versace 226 pounds now. I've seen on his Instagram.
He's
Twitter.
scary looking.
Yeah.
I worry because he seems like he's doing stuff that is stuntish and like trying to get people to pay attention to him rather than letting the music do the talking. And I feel like that when his music is on point, it speaks for him.
I don't know how much to take of this as real riffraff, but when we did that thing with Toe Jam and Earl, I was trying to ask him questions about his album and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was just like, man, I don't care about music anymore. It's just boring. I just go in, I say say some stuff. You know,
Why, hello there, viewer.
6 months
Welcome
later
to
now,
my channel.
I don't give a shit about music anymore.
Yeah. That I could see some of that. The album, I mean, well, maybe the album was like largely done by that point, or you know, tracks from it certainly.
He had already like put out like Tiptoeing in My Jordans and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So like stuff that made it onto the actual like label release, not some mixtape shit or whatever. Okay, that makes sense.
He's not a rapper anymore. He's a
okay.
transmedia being.
Totally. I mean, that's fine, but like it's one of those things where it's like it's that constant grasp for legitimacy that you see out of pro wrestlers and porn stars.
It's like wanting to be in real movies.
Yeah,
and stuff like
you
that.
see him doing some of that stuff, and it's like, dude, it's like,
Or he wants to get into wrestling.
yeah, I mean, like for a week, yeah, he said he did, but you
Isn't
know,
that the whole point of him working out and doing all this
I don't
stuff?
know.
He said he's training with Hogan or whatever.
That's
and
not, I mean,
I know, but they were clearly doing a thing where they were doing social media stuff
yeah,
together.
that's.
But he never.
You're assuming that Riff Raff himself knows what he wants, and I'm not
He
convinced of
seems,
that.
that to me seems like a symbiotic thing of like Riff Raff going like, I get to talk to Hulk Hogan. How cool is that? And Hulk Hogan be like, if I talk to this guy, it'll make me seem relevant.
Yeah.
Like that's you know like they both you know. Like
It's a really depressing conversation all of a sudden.
I hope Toe Jam and Earl's good.
yeah, it would be like I think that there's definitely room for a Toe Jam and Earl game to be good, but I think the closer they get to you know real speech and real music and stuff like that, like it's easier to compare it to actual released and sold music, and that's been where it's fallen apart for them.
I think I would prefer the characters just have like monosyllabic Sims.
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, you could see some spots where they really need to understand that less can be more.
Absolutely.
In some cases,
like chip tune hip hop soundtrack.
Yeah.
What that
Yeah,
game should
yeah,
have.
sure.
You know, like appeal to that end of it rather than some of the stuff they're going for.
Or you know,
So
like
it's a weird thing.
recognize for limitations in certain respects.
Sure.
Well, as you said, at least you know they shipped that game a year or two ago, so you could probably have some confidence they can. At least
All right, let's go to Mordona. Let's cash in my weekly. And I think we're going to call it a stream today. Oh, boy. Oh, excuse me.
That's maybe the dark, like the thing I hate the most about even like thinking about things that are on Kickstarter is you go look and everything is just like, I don't know, it'll be out in a year and a half.
It takes forever.
Lock up money.
What's it been? 4 years since the Double Fine Kickstarter, or 3? 3?
I think it's 3. Might be coming up on 4.
It might be closer to 4. I'm not sure.
and only half of that game.
Things not out yet.
Also, yeah, like Tim Schafer's been on Twitter saying like, "Oh, we're officially in beta. Like it's locked."
Right, they finished
So they're
the
almost
review
there.
over.
So that
We
one's almost there.
want
The other
that.
games have gotten funded and then finished in that time.
Complete.
So they all take 4 years.
Oh, man, you wait. You can only choose either or.
They've
Ooh.
gotten funded and then abandoned.
All right. Well, that's
Kickstarter's
interesting.
a fucking minefield. No, that's not even.
There's an everything.
Alrighty.
Yep. Now.
$15,000.
What? No, really?
Jesus.
You say that?
I went to their webpage and looked at it. Like, you could
All right,
probably-
we're gonna leave off on that note. Thank you to every single person who stopped in, said hey, even just watched for a couple minutes. Big shout out to every single person who did that. This will probably be up on YouTube tomorrow. I don't know when, but tomorrow. And thank you, everyone.
well past 70 million.
I'll be back on Thursday. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll be back, and we'll go from there. So thank you, everyone, for showing up, and I'll see you all Thursday. Take it easy, guys.
What if Star Citizen is an FMV
yeah.
extravaganza starring Malcolm McDowell?
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Jim
F. Wilson.
Ginger Lynn Allen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
All right.
get it.
Sold.
When was the last time you looked in on Star Citizen, Drew?
It's been a while. I've kind of been waiting for a big update to come.
Wait, are you bought in?
I had a ship.
Which ship?
Starter,
Okay.
basic.
Oh, was it just like the cheapest thing?
Yeah.
How much was that?
I don't even remember. It was like a year and a half ago.
$1,500.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So do you know if by having that ship you get access to the whole game, or